Welcome to Belgium, a country at the very heart of Europe, where history, culture and motorsport all collide in one big ball of goodness. We're here at the Mariembourg circuit, just 1 hour south from the capital city of Brussels, the home of the European Union and the world of many fabulous things, including waffles. But we're going to be talking more about racing this weekend because it is the finale of the IAME Euro Series 2025, live here from the Mariembourg circuit. Karting de Fagnes opening in 1987, event record set by Alain Garcia. Earlier on in non-qualifying practice, he put out a 54.755. No one yet has been able to get close to that time. That may change today with the conditions being, well, a little bit of rain and a little bit of dry. But let's dive into a closer look at the circuit itself. 1,366 metres, it's 145 down that main straight. It totals 270 metres with the last couple of corners included. The track though, 8 to 10 metres wide. It's got an elevation change around 1.5 metres. There is a hidden dips here and there. It does elevate just that little bit for the drivers, but turns in total for themselves a fabulous amount. 14 of them, 8 to the right, 6 to the left, and that includes 2 hairpins out there. Each and every one of those corners provides its own challenges. Many of them provide ample overtaking opportunities. We see them in towards turns 1, 3, 4, 6, 8 and 12. Each and every one of those turns will provide some close, action-packed racing. Top speeds though, drivers will be reaching that down in towards turn number 1. Around about 120 kilometers an hour for the senior class. They'll average around 80 around the lap. It is a fast circuit. It is demanding. It's open for the first half. It's technical and twisty in that second half. Myself, Anthony Jordan and Guillaume Alvarez in the commentary box. We're ready to go racing. The only question is, are the viewers at home ready? Yes, indeed. We will be watching you very closely over the course of this weekend. But right now, I'm sure everyone is ready for this one. It's the finale. We're going to be crowning 3 new champions at the end of this weekend, Guillaume.
This is round number 4, the final, the big finale that we've been expecting for a couple of weeks now. After going to Cremona in Italy, to Zuera in Spain, to Germany and Wackersdorf, it's time for the championship to come back to one of its long-time expeditions, one of the most beloved circuits in Europe, Karting de Fagnes. And as you can see, it's cloudy. It's relatively chilly in terms of weather conditions. We had rain yesterday, should be mostly dry today. Maybe a little bit of rain expected at some point during the day. And maybe tomorrow for the finals. As always, the weather in Mariembourg is playing with the nerves of both the drivers and the mechanics. Talking about drivers, they are here down onto the grid for the first of the 24 qualifying heats that we're gonna see and live together. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along on the YouTube channel of the IAME Euro Series, on Motorsport TV as well. All over the world, we got you covered, as always, to keep a close watch on what's going to happen here down in South Belgium, with all eyes on one of the protagonists of the senior category, Zach Green, who's going to be starting from pole position in this one.
Yeah, not in the fight for the championship in the senior category this weekend. But still a driver who will showcase some excellently close racing. Fastest in his group in qualifying, I think 3rd fastest overall as well. That's why he finds himself at the front of the C group. There is Ross Upton, our chief pre-grid officer, showcasing the 1-minute board as we're about to go racing for the first time today, but not the first race of the weekend. We did have 3 races yesterday right after qualifying. That was only for the senior category. And again, very interesting results. Now, everyone who's in this current group that's about to go out, qualifying heat C versus F, this will be the first one. No one in these groups right now has actually taken a qualifying heat win, so someone's about to win their first race of the weekend. There is race director Martin Bean. He's on the gantry. He's joined by one of our chief stewards there, Chris Lambret. He's on there. You saw him very briefly in the commentary box. Well, he wasn't in commentary box. He was in timekeeping, and he was staring at us. So, yes, but now he's on the grid now watching the racing. There, though, some of the fabulous marshals, the brilliant Orange Army that we have at every single race weekend, and we cannot thank them enough. Their hard work and dedication to the sport, we can't thank them enough, and got to say, they are going to have to deal with some topsy-turvy conditions there, because unfortunately, as you can see by that picture, there is no shelter for them. So if it starts to rain, they get wet. Right, here we go. Engines are fired up, green flags waving on the start-finish straight. We're about to go racing for the first time today let's take you through that full starting lineup. It's X30 Senior, it's qualifying heat C versus F, and it's Zach Green and Ruben Moya on the front row of the grid, and already the cardinal sin spinning on the outlap on the start-finish straight. It was, and I'll try and figure out who that was, actually. Freddie Lloyd will be joining us again, second appearance in it. He's already put himself up to about 8th in the championship. He might even come away with a 3rd if he has a good weekend here, after only completing 2 rounds. Bertram Sash joins him alongside. Marlon Bayer had a tough day yesterday. A 5-second time penalty dropped him down to 12th. He'll have Kevin Backer for company alongside Nicholas Simic and Danny Caronini, current championship leader on this one. 4th row of the grid, 8th place. Only gained 2 places yesterday as well. Sam Willie and Mark Granada go from row number 5. They'll have Alexis Constant and Florent Ryder on row number 6.
Then on row number 7, in the second part of that starting grid, we have Luna Claret. We didn't have the best of start to her weekend yesterday. Luis Mas will be alongside her. Row number 8, Pietro Korecki and Rory O'Connell. Row number 9, Yves Rees. He might be the one actually who went for a spin there, with Esteban Walgrave by his side. Tom Scholz and Matteo Kubrick will be on row number 10. Row number 11, Paco Nival Sarmiento, Adam Elbassioni, and at the back end, Morgan Moore from Ireland. A total of 23 drivers on track, getting themselves ready for the first of 24 qualifying heats. I hope that you guys, first of all, are joining us for this weekend of racing. The karting define of Mariembourg, ever since 1987, one of the most prestigious karting tracks in Europe, and a long time expedition for the IAME Euro Series, goes all the way back to the first seasons of the competition promoted by RGMMC. And as you can see, everybody here on track is ready with the race control, as you can see Joanna Falcao and Sam Fisher getting themselves ready as well in the background. They have eyes on everything that's happening on track through the many cameras, with the help of the judges of fact and all the marshals and officials around the layout of Mariembourg. And it takes that amount of people, that amount of camera, just to make sure that everything goes according to plan and that the racing will be as fair as it can be.
Yeah, indeed. First records, of course, of major titles being won here. Takes you back to around 1999. Daniele Rossi, the Italian in the FSA 100cc class, taking the win here, but that was then. This is now. It's IAME Euro Series, and it's lights out. We're racing down in towards turn number 1. It's a good start for Zach Green on that inside road. This is the first time these groups will have raced on a dry track with slick tyres. They've tested and qualified in these conditions, but it's the first time they're racing on it. As down in towards that next sector, in towards turn 3, it now starts to tighten up through turn 4. This is where we see those major overtakes, and we're already starting to see those overtakes coming in, and now it gets tight and twisty. This is where drivers start to trip over each other.
Yeah, good opening lap and get away from most of the drivers here. Unlike what we had yesterday in those difficult conditions, it was pouring rain for the qualifying sessions and the first 3 qualifying heats. None of it today. Let's keep it that way. Dry tires on very much, as the allocation gives those senior drivers 2 sets of slick tires plus 1 extra for the final. Let's make sure to get them well equipped and make those tires function all the way to the end of the weekend. One way going around the inside as the move for second place.
Ruben
Moya and Bertram Sach battling along for P2. You might be surprised to see Ruben Moya with different colors than the Pantano Racing liveries and overalls we've seen him for the past few seasons. As around the inside goes Kevin Bacon, or Freddie Lloyd.
Freddie Lloyd making the move there.
Bertram Sach, yeah, beautifully made by Freddie Lloyd, who keeps following through. Ruben Moya up to second in front of Sach. Lloyd making his way past as well, so Bertram Sach dropping 2 positions. So Ruben Moya, new colors, new team, joining the likes of Carol Bass Racing Management for this finale of the IAME Euro Series. But different overalls, different chassis as well, as we pick up the onboard camera. There's a little bit of a trouble there for one of the drivers out there from Enza Racing. That's going to give us plenty of action directly from the driver's point of view.
Now, I think that is Bertram Sash that we're on board with there. And Bertram Sash, they're having a moment. I think he was wheel-to-wheel there with the likes of, Ruben Moya, Zach Green and Kevin Backer. So I think he's just got spat out of that lead group, because now you can see it here as Freddie Lloyd's going to look to the inside. Only his second appearance in this year as they go wheel-to-wheel. And Ruben Moya finds a very feisty way back past out of the exit at turn number 3. The two are amazingly still in this race, and Zach Green has now once again split those two apart. And that is a very dicey part of the race to do it, because we're only on lap number 3 here, Guillaume. That's very early stages. Sash again losing out to positions. I think that's Danny Carinini trying to push his way through, as Marc Granada is now up 5 places and is in P5. Here comes Lloyd back down the inside of Green. He's back into P2. Moya's back there in the lead. The fight is still on, but these two young Brits need to work together now if they want to close up to the Spaniard, who's now broken away by 0.3 of a second.
And that's the kind of position that Ruben Moya is craving for. He has experience and the speed with his new overalls, and he knows that in that position he can really start building a gap quite quickly. And as you mentioned, the rivals behind are going to have to team up a little bit with Alexis Constant from Dice Racing picking up the fastest lap in this race. He's currently a little bit further back, 4th place. 7 positions gained for Alexis Constant. Let's have a look back at
Here it is. Well, the move's on. He's got the inside line there.
Yeah.
He's tried to get the switch back on the exit of turn 3. They've just locked wheels, and I've got to say, very, very lucky and really good actually for Zach Green, who wasn't involved in that one either. You can see how he had to dive out of the way there. Got up into 2nd place. As there's the attack again. Down the inside. This time Lloyd's got it done. Now Alexis Constant is there as well. It's 4 cars for the race lead. Boys, it's only the first race of the day. Here we go. Moya back down into P1.
And watch out for Pretty Low. He's going to try to switch those positions on Zach Green, and it takes actually Alexis Constant with him. So Constant up to P3, down in turn number 2. And it's only getting started, but so much heat already into the senior category. We had yesterday a little bit of a tussle as well between Ruben Moya and it was another driver from Dream Racing that we had fighting with him, Clément Outran it was, and those two coming together so slightly as well. So again, you can see that it's very much gloves up between the senior competitors.
It's kicking off in the background as well for this one. Current championship leader Danny Carinini is pushing his way through, and now Moya is under investigation. And that's going to be a very interesting one to look at after this race. We'll keep a close eye on those results. And you can as well. You can head to the IAME Euro Series webpage. You can see all the results that happen and even any penalties that get applied as well. But on this one, now over the start-finish line, Alexis Constant down the inside at T1 gets it complete on Freddie Lloyd, who is now demoted to 3rd place. All this fighting, though, Guillaume, is bringing in the likes of Marc Granada. You can see him now closing in for the Mole Racing team. Zanki Motorsports, Danny Carinini, he's there just in the background. You can see him coming through the shot now. He has got past Bertram Sash, who after that drama earlier on has just dropped down at the order just a little bit there, and you can see how much grip there is out there today. They've had the morning warm-ups in the dry conditions. Of course, yesterday, a lot of rain, and that was a lot of curb there through the exit of turn number 7 and in towards T8 as well.
Yeah, fantastic close-up that we can have on the drivers into that last sector of the track, riding those curbs just outside of turn number 7. Plenty of opportunities, and some of them drivers have been able to exploit them to get passes done. But look at the pressure on Zach Green. He's currently in 4th place, but Marc Granada is having a couple of ideas. Here's the classification on your right. This is as it stands with the points. Ruben Moya, if he stays where he is in the lead, will pick up his first win of the weekend, as Alexis Constant goes on the inside and takes position. No, this is Marc Granada, sorry, on Zach Green. Alexis Constant is up into 2nd place. So Constant 2nd, and Granada now finds himself in P4. Ruben Moya in front of Freddie Lloyd, and the rest of the classification with Zach Green, Carinini up to P5. This standing, obviously, as always, will evolve to the qualifying heats as depending on as many points as drivers can grab. And look at them climbing those curbs. A slight kick on the inside of that small hairpin, small straight, sorry, into the last sector. This is where opportunities can be created, and in the rain especially, we've seen them really opening those doors left and right at pretty much every turn possible. But it's fair to say that Mariembourg keeps on providing. But as for now, Freddie Lloyd is putting the pressure on Alexis Constant. Can he maybe try to get on the inside? Not quite yet. Important to carry the momentum in those particular sections, as we might see a move coming as well from Zach Green for the back.
Yeah, certainly so. We'll keep an eye on this lead fight, as Lloyd now setting the fastest lap of the race at 55.465 is certainly, like you mentioning there, piling on that pressure to Alexis Constant. We are going to be keeping close eye as well on the fight with Danny Carinini over the course of this one, of course, as he goes through shot there. He is current championship leader. However, he is not championship leader after drop scores. That actually goes to Aaron Garcia. He is, at the moment, theoretically, the championship leader, despite the fact that he sits second. It is all down to what they can do in these qualifying heats and everything like that. The maximum points that these two drivers could score over the course of this weekend, of course, 101 championship points available, 25 at the end of the qualifying heat, 25 at the end of the super heat, and then 51 at the end of the final. That's if you get the fastest lap of the race added onto it, which Mark Granada's just taken in this one. Right now, yeah, at the end of it, Caroline would have the 245, Aaron Garcia would have 268, and that is after drop scores as well. That's if either of them scored maximum points over the weekend. So it's going to be a close fight throughout them, so we'll keep a close eye on that as it goes through. This one, though, however, on your screens, Guillaume, you've been wincing and moving around constantly when Lloyd looks to the inside, but he's not committed to a move just yet. I think he's just sussing out where Alexis Constant is quick, where he seems a little stronger than the rest. He is going to have to think about doing the move sooner rather than later, though, because Mark Granada is closing in on the Mole racing machine and is looking to probably take that place away from him. Granada yesterday had a relatively decent run. Yeah, 9th place he finished. There's the move, down the inside, sooner rather than later, at turn 3, back into P2 for Freddie Lloyd.
And well done to the British driver, up to 2nd place, driving for premium karting, with Rickerton colours on his racing suit, as well as Constant is fighting back in turn number 6, the hairpin. This is one of the prime spots for overtaking, and Alexis Constant just showed it once again with Mark Granada putting the pressure as well, taking Zach Green. That's a 4-driver battle. I thought for a moment that entering the later stages of that race, maybe they would keep on working together to try to get on Ruben Moya, but the Spaniard is nowhere to be seen, really taking advantage of what's happening behind him. 1.2 seconds on the last lap, and entering what will be the last course of that race, still up to 1.3. So if it stays like that, it's done and dusted for Ruben Moya, who would pick up his first win of the weekend, but further back, this is still very much uncertain. At the advantage of Granada, Lloyd, Constant, Green, Danny Caronini might need maybe a couple of more laps to try to make the contact. The Sankey driver who climbed 2 positions from the start of the race, but won't be able to really catch up with the 4 in front of him.
No, indeed. Moya has done enough here, and this is good for Ruben Moya. He is an outsider in that championship fight, but he is still a contender to potentially step up in that order. Of course, the biggest drama from it, of course, Harrison Mackie, 3rd in the championship, not here. Unfortunately, drama in the UK has meant he cannot race here, and that is a big, big shame for him. But eyes on this one, though. Checker flag comes out. Ruben Moya takes the first win of the day. It's brand new colours for him this weekend, but it's another time he's going to see a checker flag over the course of his racing career. That's a good start for the young Spaniard, who finishes ahead of his fellow countryman Mark Granada, finishing that one in P2 ahead of Freddie Lloyd. Alexis Constant finishing in P4 from Zach Green. Danny Caronini, a 2-place gain for the current championship leader, pumps him up to 6th overall, and now 6th in that intermediate classification. But of course, Aaron Garcia will be out later on. We'll have to see what he can do. Bertram Sash and Marlon Bayer finishing in the top 8. Nicholas Simic and Sam Woolley rounding out the top 10. They will head back to Parc Ferme. Everything get checked over, of course. It was a very interesting day yesterday for them, of course. Wet conditions. It's the first time they've raced out on those slick tyres, and yes, there was a bit of drama yesterday when the track dried and they were using their wet tyres. They turned them from wets to slicks, but we'll talk about that later on. There's a list of your full results. We've gone over the top 10. From Andrade finishing in P11 ahead of Kevin Backer. Louis Mass from Esteban Walgrave. Morgan Moore from Matteo Kubrick, who finishes there inside that top 15 and 16. Adam Elbasoini from Peter Gorecki. Yves Rees from Tom Schultz. And it is Paco Sarmiento finishing in 3:21. Rory O'Connor rounds out the 22 finishers. Luna Claret, unfortunately, a DNF at the start of that race for the Pantano Racing team. Well, Guillaume, first race of the day done. Bit feisty there for the seniors at the start. Did calm down at the end, but Ruben Moya comes away with a first win of the weekend after his P2 yesterday. He leads now that intermediate classification.
Yes, indeed. It will be one to watch up until the very last race of the weekend, the big finale that will be taking place on Sunday as always, but watch out for Ruben Moya, as he will be certainly more than eager to celebrate his debut with Carol Bat's racing management team on a high, and that's one way to do it certainly. Don't forget, is being investigated as we speak. You saw that on screen, so we might need to wait for official confirmed results. Let's take a look back at the replays and how all things unfolded. It was a good start from Zach Green and the rest with Freddie Lloyd, Ruben Moya and the rest of the peloton aligning themselves into that opening lap. No drama whatsoever. That's what we like to see, even though a couple of drivers at the back end going wide on the outside of turn number 3. One of the victory lanes was slightly pushed onto the curb into the N3, and then the start of the attack for Ruben Moya. First on the Falcon driver of Bertram Satche, who would lose a pile of positions all the way down to P7 at some point. Not the best of start to his day for Bertram Satche, who would be harassed left and right, being passed here by
that
Baker.
was the moment.
That was a slight touch from Simon Baker, certainly not intentional, but that led the race of Bertram Satche to go from bad to even worse. And at that moment, on lap number 3, the contact between Freddie Lloyd and Ruben Moya, with Moya on the right side of your screen, going on the inside in turn number 4, trying to switch the attack, and then Lloyd at some point, those two stayed on the track. Lloyd kept attacking Zach Green, picking up second place and trying to put again some more pressure on Ruben Moya.
Yeah, indeed. A very feisty moment there. Lloyd back up into the lead, though, as they were going on to lap number 5. It wouldn't last long, though, as Moya back down the inside with Green. That brought everyone else back into play, of course. Alexis Constant was able to close in. Marc Granada later, then actually getting up into second place. So Marc Granada there having a really good run in that race. That was his first overtake to get past Zach Green. Later, Lloyd made the move on Alexis Constant. That really brought in the Mole Racing driver from Spain. He managed to get that move done pretty early on Alexis Constant, then getting it done on Freddie Lloyd in the dying stages of the race. The checker flag would go out. Moya taking the win. Under investigation, though, and only clear by 1 second from the rest. If anything comes that way, he will drop significantly down the order, possibly to around P7. So that's going to be an interesting one to see what happens with those results. But that's Group C and F done for now. We're going to be stepping over to the next groups in Senior X30, Groups B versus D. They'll be heading on to the circuit for their 11-lap race. Now, this one does have a race winner in it, and I've got to say, a very convincing race win yesterday. Mikko Virta's really strong performance in his first race, and you can see him there on your screen. He'll be starting on the outside, the Belgian on the 282 machine, looking very dominant this weekend. However, was not the fastest driver in time qualifying. That went Victor Louis, also from Belgium, third place in his race yesterday, but fastest in group, second fastest overall. We caught up with him after time qualifying. Here's what he had to say.
Victor Louis, what a lap! Congratulations! That's P1 of your group, and with the conditions that we have here in Mariembourg, is looking pretty good for the rest of the weekend with the pace.
Yeah, we struggle a little bit on slicks, but this time on wet, perfect lap, big attack, and it works. So I'm really good, really happy with the chassis and the team. We worked well for the rain.
You guys worked well for the rain, considering your experience of that track. That's another good advantage. Mariembourg, you have a lot of experience with this layout.
Yeah, it's all right. With the years we have competing here with the rain, we're used to these conditions, so it was a little bit easier than the other drivers, but that's racing.
That's racing indeed. Well done to you. Good luck for the weekend.
Time qualifying a little bit wet as well, meaning that the pace was significantly slower. Now, a lot of these drivers will have been testing here for the last, well, couple of weeks. And speaking to them, they said, well, how was the weather before, we arrived? And they said, well, it was lovely. Sunshine, it was beautiful, dry conditions all the way throughout testing, all the way throughout the early parts of testing this weekend. The first couple of days here was actually really lovely. Beautiful evening, sun was shining all the way throughout. And then as soon as they needed to really dial in and focus and know the track well, it then rained for the first time, and they all had to remember the wet racing line here back, I think, in 2023, the last time we were here. It's been a couple of years since we've raced at the Mariembourg circuit, and, well, yeah, they've had to all put that into practice. It's dry today, though. for the time being. Let's see how long that lasts, though. Engines fire up, drivers out on circuit, and it will be Victor Louis on that front row of the grid. Mika Voters joining him alongside. They will have the likes of Luca Lestra as well as Andy Rattel on row number 2. Both interesting results for them. Roxanne Lantinger, a P4 yesterday, starts this one alongside Francois Delati. Then it's Charlie Glum and Alex Pinheiro on row number 4. Luca Montebello and Lewis Bird round out row number 5. They'll have Morgan Knudsen and Maxime Blanchimont on row number 6.
Row number 7, Yanis Bouillet and Luca Moulard, Florent Panis and Elvis Krasowska. Row number 8, row number 9, Aaron Weda and Michal Gorecki. End of the grid, Isaac Sea, Oliver Meek on row number 10, Oscar Guccio and Aaron Serignac, row 11, row number 12, Roman Sades and Philippe Svetsen. 24 drivers that we have here, and Oscar Guccio, the 318 21st position. Watch out for him. Gave us a great remontada yesterday after what had been a trouble qualifying for the Giuseppe Brown Vice Champion of France. Now he's not there to make up the numbers. He's there to fight out the front, and qualifying didn't go according to plan. Once again, you can see a lot of dedication from our Marshall.
Oh, that's a fantastic mustache he's got there. I am jealous. I wish I could grow one like that, but I just can't for some reason. We're about to go racing then. Drivers getting themselves squared up, ready to go. They'll be entering the red line on the exit of around turn 11, between turn 11 and 12. From that point, no overtaking will be permitted. They should be in 2x2 rolling start formation into those tram lines and ready to go racing. Drivers in this one that you need to keep an eye on. Well, of course, Mika Voters, as we said, from the front row of the grid, dominant performance yesterday, drove away, but that was in wet conditions. It's dry today. Could be a little bit more of a fight on his hands here. Everyone else has finished the highest next result is third place, and that was Victor Louis, who did take that P3. Everyone else has finished about 4th, 11th, down like that one. Luca Lestra yesterday was a P11. The same for Lewis Bird. He dropped down 1 place. Luca Montebello as well, a 12th place for him. So, again, there were some tough races yesterday, but like we said, it was wet. It was difficult. It's the first time they've raced on it over the course of the 2 weeks they've been testing here. And, a lot of people came away with nose cones at the end of that one. And that's understandable in the wet conditions. You know, different racing lines, braking lines. You try to get the switch over left, right, and centre, and sometimes it just doesn't work out for you. And you do end up with quite a few nose cones in wet conditions. But that was yesterday. Today is now, and we're going to get ready to go racing. Well, I tell you what, the Marshall's aged quickly here because he's changed. Right, here we go then, out of the final corner, into the tram lines. Are we racing? Pace is very slow right now. It's Victor Louis really keeping the pack down, and already it's caused drama. They're going to have to go. No, we're racing. We are racing, and that's a disaster for one driver, and it's Luca Montebello as drama into T1, and round goes one of the Jamie Greens, I think it was, in that mid-pack, possibly Isaac Sayer, who was involved there, but we'll keep a close eye on this one. Sideways as down the inside at T3. Mika Voters trying to get through, and he has done in towards third place, I should say. But it is still the likes of Victor Louis who leads the way. It's down the inside. That's a big send for Lewis Bird into one of the tightest corners out there. Turn number 5, not able to get the move done, as that was a very, very feisty start to this race.
Yes, indeed. And Luca Lestra, in the meantime, took advantage of that opening lap to be in the lead. Lestra in the lead with Mirko Wouters down in second place. Badolkovic just in front of Victor Louis. Paul Sitter down in third place, indeed. As it was a heavy moment, actually, at turn number 1. We might need to see that again. One drive out by the look of it as well. 1 lap completed. Luca Lestra, Wouters, Louis, Yanis Bouillet climbing 9 positions in 1 lap. Yanis Bouillet, the driver from Team PGM, up into 4th place from Charlie Glum. Andy Rattel, Morgan Knudsen, 13 places gained for Oscar Guccio, would you believe, in just the course of 1 lap. Certainly as well taking a slight advantage of what happened in the couple of first corners with the mayhem and the contact between some drivers, but still 13 places in 1 lap for Oscar Guccio in front of Florent Panis and Alex Pinheiro. That's for your top 10, as we have lost Elvis Krasowskas from Mole Racing. Unfortunately, he's the one stuck in turn number 1. He won't go any further than that, unfortunately. Luca Montebello, as you mentioned, Anthony, was the one being caught into the middle at the start. Actually, he was the one outside of the corridor, unable to get into the proceedings. But we had a big moment with two drivers coming together slightly. I think Aaron Weda was one of them. We might need to see that again. The 282 of Nico Wouters being overtaken. Yanis Bouillet once again keeps on going and takes second place.
Yeah, indeed. Drama, though, for the 325. Florent Panet's just dropped down the order a little bit, but I think he is still in this race. There's Yanis Bouillet, sets the fastest lap of the race. We're watching the fight for second place as Yanis Bouillet has now just got past into second place, and Wouters down to third, utilising that fastest lap of the race, trying to close in on Luca Lestra, who is just ahead now, still very close at this sharp end, and all of these drivers vying for their first win of the weekend to try and close in to Mika Wouters, who's just behind. Now Mika Wouters there in still third place, is still a contender in that intermediate classification. Of course, he had that win yesterday. He was joined with Ruben Moya. He will lose out to that now with that points drop to 91. But he is still in a good fighting position. But I'm really impressed here, Guillaume, with Yanis Bouillet, 11 places gained, and is now fighting to gain that 12th, which will put him into the race lead.
Yeah, and he certainly is going to go for that, not in turn number 4, but maybe leading to the way to the hairpin of the Old Railway on the other side of the track. Look on the right, slight kick in the braking point entry. And Luca Lestra is having none of it, the driver from MCK Racing. Hold on to that lead. After falling 3 places, kick on the curb, into the straight, into the escargot sector. Very technical, very slow indeed as well, but this is where doors can be opened, and then all the way down, slightly, as you might not see it on TV, but it's going downhill slightly to turn number 12, and then back up into the last sector. The right, left, and then a slight kick into the turn. Very old-fashioned kind of layout here in Mariembourg. Still holding to that first place, Luca Lestra. Yanis Bouillet is putting the pressure on his rival. Nothing happens quite yet into turn number 3. As Nico Wouters is trying to catch up as well. Further back, we have the two drivers from RSD Karting. As it was Victor Louis and Charlie Glym giving the chase now. Roxanne Lantinga, watch out for her. Fastest stop in the race for Roxanne, who is currently trying to see where she is in the classification a little bit further back. Roxanne Lantinga, but the fastest stop in the race. As they might have some transponder
I think there's
issues,
some transponder troubles happening there. Yeah, but the guys in timing working on that now. Still, Lestra leading the way. Yanis Bouillet still there in tow, and I say in tow, he's in that tow, he's out of the tow, and he's down the inside at turn number 1. Nicely done, but he's left the door open on the exit, and now Luca Lestra can get back down the inside. Nicely done. Luca says think, let's break away, because who's right there in third place? It's race winner yesterday, Mika Wouters, who is, I think, communicating with his mechanic. His mechanic is probably saying, go, go, overtake, get past them. Yeah, I think they're having a bit of an argument between each other there. Roxanne Lantinga, now the fastest driver on circuit. She had a good day yesterday. P4 for her in her first race. She is there currently in P7. She has gone down a few in this one, but showcasing the pace is still there. It is a group of 3 now. This could be a nice little fight to the end of this race, Guillaume.
Yeah, certainly so. A couple of laps there remaining before the checkered flag, and we still have a few things to see in this race. Watch out for the move coming up suddenly into turn number 1. The never-ending right-hander, but still Yanis Bouillet chooses to stay behind. Those two need to keep working together, because Nico Wouters is only waiting in the rails, and it goes through Yanis Bouillet on Luca Lestra. Lovely done here, as those two lap pretty much in similar lap times, but it gives again a little bit of hope to Nico Wouters to try to switch those positions, as Roxanne Lantinga has put herself into qualifying mode at the moment. She's trying to climb up the ranking, and she's just behind Andy Rattel, battling for P6 with those fastest lap after fastest lap. Gonna have to keep an eye on that as well. But for the moment, your top 3 is slightly pulling away from both Victor Louis and Charlie Glym, and Roxanne Lantinga just made a move on Andy Rattel for P6. Rattel still in front of Pinera, Guccio, and Knudsen, sorry. That's the top 10 at the moment. There won't be much time remaining for any of the 3 in the lead to switch those positions. Wouters putting the pressure on Lestra. A little bit of a gap for Yanis Bouillet, about 0.3 of a second. Talking just a few meters into that first sector. Very pure, very nice racing lines here from the top 3 drivers. you can say that the level is sky high in the X30 senior category. This is the prime class in the IAME world, so always easier said than done to make a difference at this level.
Yeah, I'm just watching the body language there of Mika Vutters, who is, I think he's tucking himself into the steering wheel a lot. He's getting tensed up there. You can see every now and then he's shaking the head a little bit. I think he's starting to get a little bit frustrated being here in third place. He's got second, he's got the race leader, you know, just ahead. He won, yes, again, another shake of the head there. He's not happy with something out there, and I'm not sure what it is. This was the start again, so it's Luca Montebello that has been, well, nerfed out of it. I don't know if it was because the pace was very slow there at the front. He's just oiled up and stalled. Of course, these are a tag start, so you can just kind of touch and go, press a button and away you go. There was the drama right at the start. Yeah, indeed. And yeah, that was a very dramatic start to that race, and very lucky to keep it actually on the straight and narrow. Looks like Mantinga again, fastest lap of the race, as all this is kicking off here for third place, and that is Victor Louis trying to get his nose back down the inside on Mika Vutters. It's not worked out. Now he'll have Charlie Glum for company just behind, who is going to, I'm sure, go for a move in this dying stage of the race.
Yeah, Vutters is losing contact to the top two and is going to have to defend against Victor Louis and Charlie Glum. Those two from Erasdi might be willing to work together to push themselves forward and attack Mirko Vutters as 2 against 1 as part of racing. Vutters is going to have to go defensive as we enter lap number 10. 2 course of the karting define, not much more after that to try to make a difference. As in the meantime, Yanis Bouillet is nowhere to be seen. 0.8 of a second from Luca Leistra. Those two seem to be secure in their respective positions, but now Mirko Vutters looking over the shoulder just slightly. He's not entirely sure in what position he's going to be finishing this race. And Victor Louis is certainly searching for a move, searching for even the thinnest of opportunity to open that door. He's back in good contentions, Victor Louis. I remember him a couple of weeks ago as we were in game for the IAME Euro Series. He was nowhere to be seen, having the worst of weekends in all of his season so far. But now he's back in with better intentions. So much so can be said of Charlie Glum just behind, so watch out for those two. But now it's about getting past Mirko Vutters, and why not in the last lap?
Indeed. Here we go then, on to that final lap, and Yanis Bouillet has got a commanding lead from the rest. It's only about 0.8 of a second, but in the world of looking at it from this point of view, it seems like a massive amount, because there you can see Vutters trying to battle away with Victor Louis and Charlie Glum just behind. The 2 RSD drivers at this moment looking very, very strong. And to say, are we thinking there could be a home favourite win this weekend? Well, it's very possible. The top 5 here, all Belgian drivers. So it just showcases that they have got the pace around here. But can they keep that consistency up over the course of an entire weekend? Because remember, it is still Ruben Moore of Spain who leads that intermediate classification. On this final lap, though, and out of the final corner, Yanis Bouillet is going to look for his first win of the weekend and claims it across the line. Team PJM takes the win. Beautiful, beautiful drive there. 12 places gained. That is how you do it, says Yanis Bouillet from 13th on the grid.
Yeah, perfect race, perfectly executed from Yanis Bouillet in front of Luca Leistra for almost a second, and Mirko Vutters picking up the 3rd place after his win yesterday. Still points well collected that could make a difference at the end of the weekend. He's still very much in 2nd place, 3 points shy from Ruben Moya, Mirko Vutters, as it stands in the provisional classification. But well done to PGM and Yanis Bouillet, who's in the championship as it stands. Yanis Bouillet not certainly fighting at the forefront, but still one to watch this weekend in Mariembourg. Bouillet wins in front of Luca Leistra. Vutters 3rd from Victor Louis and Charlie Glum. Roxanne Mantinga, one of the fastest on track in P6 from Alex Pinheiro. Andy Rattel losing to the Spaniard in the last few laps from Oscar Guccio, Marc Knudsen, François Delati, Lewis Bird, Maxime Blanchemin, Isaac Sea in 14, P15 for Philippe Svetsen, and then we have in 16 Luca Moulard, Romain Salais, Aaron Ouida, Michael Gorecki, Oliver Meek, Florent Panis, and Aaron Serignac, the last driver to see the checkered flag, as we lost Elvis Krasoskas and the unfortunate Luca Montebello, who was the driver in trouble at the start, and Elvis Krasoskas, who as a result of that contact and a multitude of contact into the starting turn number 1. But well done to Yanis Bouillet and PGM into the Parc Fermé, giving himself a little bit of a breather and a time to debrief of this last qualifying heat. Each of those drivers having to go through 5 races in order to get qualified for the superheat.
Indeed. Here's a look at those highlights again. The start drama for Luca Montebello. Seemingly, though, didn't get caught out in what happened at turn number 1. Sideways moment there through T1 right at the start, and you could just see the drama that kind of unfolded there, unfortunately. For Elvis Cartausis, though, he had quite a bit of damage, unfortunately, as he went over that curb and unfortunately out of the race in that early stages. Mirko Vutters trying to push his way through back. He was looking for another race win. Unfortunately, he would drop down to 3rd place. He had a good fight right at the start of that one, but the eyes were going to be on Yanis Bouillet in this one, because not only was it in the early stages of the race, because we're only on lap number 3 at this point, and there he is fighting into 2nd place. A brilliant, brilliant start for him.
A brilliant start indeed. That's where he made the difference, climbing 12 places in the course of 2 laps to take the lead on lap number 6 from Luca Leistra. And then the battle kept raging with Leistra still having to one say into this race under the pressure of Mirko Vutters, who all throughout that qualifying heat would not be able to catch up and switch those positions the way he would have liked. And at some point he felt himself under the pressure from Victor Louis, a slight touch, or at least by the look of it, into the hairpin of turn number 6. But Mirko Vutters just fought tooth and nail to keep himself in 3rd place and 2nd in the classification of the qualifying heats. But there was no one close enough to beat Yanis Bouillet on the checkered flag, and Luca Leistra taking 2nd place.
Indeed, a very strong performance there by the young Belgian, and we'll see him out later on today. Can he replicate that? We'll have to wait and see. Now, though, time for Groups A versus E for the senior category and their 2nd rotation of qualifying heats. Of course, they had their first run yesterday, the first 3 heats. This time, we will see the man who put it on pole position outright, Kevin Lantinga, a.k.a. also known as Dave. Good old Dave at the end of qualifying, put it P1. Here's what he had to say. Well, the 3rd and final group in Senior X30 time qualifying here for the final round in Mariembourg for the IAME Euro Series. Kevin Lantinga, well done, Dave. That's pole position. Congratulations.
Yeah, not bad, I think. Lap itself wasn't clean at all. The last sector, there was a lot more inside of it. And when I came through the last corner, I looked to my engine tuner and I said to him, yeah, this is not going to be the lap. I was already shaking my hand, and then I came over start finish and I saw that I did a 12.5. And yeah, I knew that that was going to be pole position. And my dad was already cheering and said that I had pole position. So I'm really happy to be here. And hopefully some heat wins will be really good for, what is it called? Important weekend of my career. There's still a lot to get this weekend. Obviously the number 3 is not here of the championship. We are currently in P4. Moya is really close to us, but I think pole position is a good start of a good weekend.
Definitely so. You're going to make me have to do some maths over the course of this weekend if you start winning things and see where people need to finish. But yeah, that championship ever closer now with that result, and we look forward to seeing what you can do. And congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
A good chat there with Kevin Lantinga, and like you're mentioning, 4th in the points overall, and of course, because 3rd place is not here in those championship points, he will have the chance of jumping up in that order. A polling qualifying really put him in a good step, and then in his first race, taking the race win as well. 50 intermediate classification points to his name. He's looking to double that now to 100 points going at the end of this race. He would take the lead of that intermediate classification. He needs all the points he can muster in this one. And at this moment, he's in a good position. But he is not alone in this race as a race winner. Aaron Garcia, 2nd in the championship, is in this race. He starts on the 2nd row of the grid, and he has also taken a qualifying heat win so far this weekend. They are in a championship fight themselves in this one, possibly even for the championship win. It is so tantalizingly close in the seniors going into this final round. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. as you can see, the crowds, the grandstands are filling up nicely. The local cows are beside themselves with the racing action they have got right next to them.
Yeah, definitely on the right side of the track, and those lovely cows not missing one bit of the action here from the Kartline des Fines. And you know, that's the picturesque sort of ambience that we have here in Mariembourg, and has been so for so many years. That's why we love coming back here.
Yes, indeed. Right, engines are fired up. Drivers have made their way out onto the circuit. Let's take you through that full starting lineup. It will be pole sitter Kevin Lantinga on P1 for this one. Matthias Merschat's joining him alongside a team change for the Belgian, formerly with KCR last round at Wackersdorf, now with RSD this weekend. Ellie Goldstein back in the IAME Euro Series paddock, and a P2 for him yesterday puts him on the second row of the grid alongside Aaron Garcia. Angelo Melli and Matthias van der Kerkhoff go from row number 3. They'll have Marc Lapiccolo and Clement Outron on row number 4. He had a tough race yesterday, did Clement Outron, with Ruben Moya, but he starts this one on P4, on the 4th row of the grid, sorry. Marcus Glum and Sam van der Heijden go from row number 5. They'll have Otto Pukkanen and Marcel Matijevic, who rounding out the first half of the field.
Then row number 7, Rafael Lenders and Elias Lehmann. Row number 8, Max Radek and Fares Jalil. Row number 9, Rafael Bourlard and Rimus Merkelbach. And at the back end, Emmanuel Lulakis and Dylan Patel, Maxime Prudent, Noah Norken, Tristan Butcher, and Luke Taylor running up the top 24 drivers that we have on this grid. As we've seen, yeah, Luke Taylor is not here this weekend, as well as Noah Nolken.
Yeah, unfortunately, Noah Nolken excluded from the entire weekend. Big drama for him, which is a big shame, but unfortunately, yeah, one of those things that happens over the race weekend. So we won't see those two out for the rest of it, which is a shame. But we'll keep an eye on the rest of the field. 22 drivers in this race, which will now see Tristan Butcher kind of all on his own on those last couple of rows there, joining by Maxime Prudent as well. This is going to be an interesting one. You got some names here, of course. Pole sitter Kevin Lantinga fighting for the championship. You got Aaron Garcia, who's on the second row of the grid, also with a race win and fighting for a championship. Ellie Goldstein, who's here for fun, is there on the second row of the grid, but is an incredible talent in the world of karting, and here in his home turf as well. Certainly one to keep a close eye on. He's getting his nose right in the mix of all of that. Matthias van der Kerkhoff, of course, very strong performance. Matthias Merschat, he didn't even make the final last time out at Wackersdorf. A team change for him now, put in P4 in his first race, and he's on the front row of the grid here. So it seems to have worked out for him as they enter into those tram lines. We're about to go racing for the third time today. Once again, pace is slow, but they build it up now into those tram lines. Lights are out. We are racing down in towards T1. It's sideways under braking for Kevin Lantinga, but he keeps it on the straight and narrow as they go down in towards turn number 2. He's got all the open track he needs here to go to work. Goldstein's there in second place. He utilised the start of that one. Matthias Merschat has dropped into the pack. That is not the start he wanted at all.
Now watch out as well, Matthias van der Kerkhoff fighting his way through up to P3 as it stands. P4 it is for the Belgian from Victory Lane, being chased already by some of the rest of the peloton into turn number 6, the hairpin. And you can see him fighting his way through, resisting against the 205. This is Clement Outron from Dream Racing, who had a bit of a fight yesterday with Ruben Moya. We'll get back to that, but certainly willing to climb those positions. And that starts with getting past Matthias van der Kerkhoff on the outside of the last sector. But good opening lap for everybody here. Still all the drivers on track. As in the lead, still very much crossing the line in front of us. And look at the gap he's been extending already in the course of just one lap. Kevin Lantinga, almost 9/10 of a second from Ellie Goldstein, in a solid explanation with Aaron Garcia just behind. And van der Kerkhoff, as you said, in 4th, resisting from Clement Outron in 5th place, climbing 3 places. The Frenchman from Angelo Melli, Marcus Glum, Sam van der Heijden, Otto Pukkanen, and Marc Lapiccolo, your top 10.
Indeed, right. Watching these drivers racing now, I am going to keep a close eye on Aaron Garcia at this moment with him there in 3rd place. He is ahead of Danny Caronini in the intermediate classifications. This is important because, of course, they'll be going into, at the end of today, 25 championship points that will be needed, and there is a look at those qualifying heats, intermediate classifications. You can see Aaron Garcia there 4th with 91. Nowhere in that top 6 or even in the top 8 is Danny Caronini, and again it's only the top 10 after the qualifying heat phase that get those championship points. So yes, basically it needs to be Danny Caronini needs to get a leg on here this weekend if he wants to maintain that championship lead. Eyes on this one here, though. Garcia has been unable to get past Goldstein just as of yet, as Matthias van der Kerkhoff sets the fastest lap of the race. I suspect here, Guillaume, is closing in on these two.
Yeah, it's closing in. Indeed, it's going to have to, because they keep on fighting, and it doesn't seem to me that they're working together just as of yet to get back to Kevin Antinga, even though half of a second now. And as he said, Eli Goldstein, as he told us, is here for fun, because this is his first appearance in the IAME Euro Series for over a year now, doing business as well in KZ on the international scene. But let me tell you, as we know, Eli Goldstein for the past few years is not here to make up the numbers. If he got a chance to take the win on home soil, he will go for that. And that starts with maybe resting a little bit Kevin Antinga. Garcia knows that if Goldstein goes for the attack, it might actually open an opportunity for him. So he's going to have to keep a close watch outside of turn number 2 into the hairpins of Mariembourg. Goldstein, lots of experience of this track. He's been winning titles for years now, 5-time champion of Belgium. And numerous occasions in the podium here in Mariembourg. So let's see what he can do. Yes, on the inside, into the hairpin. Antinga felt it coming. Didn't oppose any resistance, but that was enough for Eli Goldstein to take P1.
Yeah, indeed. Nice move there, and again showcasing that Goldstein does not care about the championship that's unfolding, which is good news for us because it puts them together, and that makes it nice and exciting. So Lantinga and Garcia, who are fighting in the championship, 2nd and 4th in the points, tantalisingly close, are now 2nd and 3rd on track as Garcia looks to the inside at turn 1. Van der Kerkhoff goes through as well. Lantinga down into P4.
Yeah, he's going to have to counter-attack, but that's part maybe of his strategy as we are halfway through the qualifying heat. Van der Kerkhoff keeps on going. Turn number 3, that's where he opened the door on Garcia. Fights back and switches positions just before the left-hander of the podium. Beautifully made. Garcia felt the danger. He said to himself, if I lose that one more place, well, that's another occasion for Kevin Antinga to get back at me. But now the battle is fully on, and that's certainly what Eli Goldstein had expected. Making his way up to P1, he let the others fight just behind and forget about him. And in the meantime, he's going to work on building that gap. But for now, Van der Kerkhoff down back in P3. Now Garcia up into P2. Funny enough to mention, and to give you a perspective about how tight the competition is in senior, none of the protagonists fighting for this year's title have won a race just yet. Freddie Lloyd is one of them fighting for the win this weekend. He has a win to himself in Vakersdorf. Arson Maki is not here this weekend, but obviously Aaron Garcia, Van der Kerkhoff, Lantinga, Goldstein, none of them have won. Goldstein being for the first time this season with us. So again, a lot of consistency is required at this level to try to secure not only the wins, but the title as well.
Yeah, indeed. Very, very interesting one indeed with that. It does show that, consistency is the vital thing. Van der Kerkhoff, he did take a race win in that first one, of course, in the early part of the championship, and then, like I say, Freddie Lloyd won the last one. So, yes, they're still fighting in their own rights, though, in this. But eyes still on this. Van der Kerkhoff, despite that early attempt on Garcia, is still right on that rear bumper. He's going to try it again through turn number 1, down the inside. This time, he manages to hold on to it for a little bit longer now, but is Garcia going to instantly fight back at turn number 3? No, not this time around, because he knows that Lantinga is just behind. He does not want Lantinga to close back in. But Lantinga's just lost out to Clement Outron, actually, so Outron now up into P4. Kevin Lantinga in that championship fight, still in a good position, though, but he's falling back into the pack. He does not want that. There, though, Aaron Garcia, still a driver who could potentially take that title this weekend.
Yeah, plenty of battles up that we're going to have looking forward to the rest of the day and tomorrow, that's for sure. 7/10 of a second between Goldstein and run inside. There he goes beautifully. That's the battle for the Bible. 2:47 of Sam van der Eyden on Kevin Lantinga. That's no good news for Kevin Lantinga. Dropping another place, I'm afraid. Sam van der Eyden up to P6. Otto Pakkanen is going to try to do the same. There's a couple of drivers that we've seen battling on national level as well. Used to fight at the forefront. But for Kevin Lantinga, he found himself for the first time in pole position in the senior class at this level. Well, The race is not going according to plan by the look of it, as Van der Kerkhoff responds with the fastest lap and decreased the gap slightly to Goldstein.
Yeah, indeed. Now this could be tyre pressures that are at play here with Kevin Lantinga. The car was really strong at the start of the race as well. How much he was able to break away. I think as the temperature got into those tyres, as it started to play, now it started to just drop back a bit, and you can see here now it just seemingly that pace he had earlier on in this race has just diminished, which is a big shame. Eyes still on this one. The field looking strong in the early stages of this race, but still some big battles ensuing out there as we see Mark Piccolo and Mattis Machout still fighting away out there. Leodikis just had a moment. He's dropped back down into 16th place now. He is still on a 3-place gain, but looking strong. Van der Kerkhoff now, fastest lap of the race. The gap is coming down considerably between himself and Goldstein. Time is running out though here, Guillaume. We're near the end of the race. Do we think it's possible, Van der Kerkhoff and Goldstein?
Certainly possible, but very tricky challenge
possible.
though. Yeah, especially into the last sector. You can see him picking up the pace in sector number 2. Goldstein is controlling.
Oh,
a little bit of dust further back on your picture. Someone going off slightly as a result of a battle. We might need to see that again afterwards. A 2:15 making his way past. Angelo Melli in true trouble in his battle with the rest. But here we go. This is the penultimate lap, ladies and gents. Goldstein and Van der Kerkhoff pretty much glued together on their way to turn number 2. Watch out as the gap just decreased halfway. Van der Kerkhoff is sniffing around the rear bumper of Eli Goldstein. This is battle with the Belgians. TB card against the victory lane. Let's see where Mattis Van der Kerkhoff can maybe slightly open that door. Goldstein is certainly no easy driver to get past.
Indeed, he will keep that car tight to those apexes throughout this one, but we have seen overtakes through these last sectors. We have seen them in towards turn number 1, and we have seen Van der Kerkhoff go for those moves at turn number 1. Goldstein right now is fought his way to the front here on that 2-place gain. Is going to have to deal with his fellow countryman, but on a different setup there. TV car versus victory lane as they exit out in towards turn number 1. Who's going to take the whole shot here? It's going to be Goldstein again. Van der Kerkhoff not able to get that nose down the inside on this last lap. Maybe he's saving it for the latter half of the lap, maybe even turn number 3. Could he get a nose down the inside here? Thought about it, backed off, and has stayed there behind. I don't think he's going to attack anymore. He's dropped off quite significantly now.
Yeah, certainly the hope was there for turn number 3. Didn't materialize, unfortunately, for Mattis Van der Kerkhoff. So he's going to have to wait maybe a couple of other races to try to make the switch. That would be the only competition before the Super 8 in the finals later today. At the advantage so far of Eli Goldstein, keeping those doors very much closed at every turn. And after picking up second place yesterday, Eli Goldstein in those difficult conditions. Now it's about time for the Belgian to win his first qualifying heat of the weekend in Mariembourg. The checkered flag is waving, and on the last lap, just less than 0.2 of a second between Goldstein and Van der Kerkhoff. Aaron Garcia picking up the 3rd place, and Clément Tron, how about that? The recovery from the Frenchman, 4th place finish in front of Marcus Glum, Sam van der Reyden, Otto Paikanen, Kevin Lantinga, all the way down to P8 for the pole sitter. And 9th place for Marco Piccolo and Mattis Machout, another driver from RSD who changed team lately ever since the last round of the Benelux Championship, but not so much the start of the weekend they had wanted to have. Mattis Machout dropping 8 places down to P10. Van der Kerkhoff, your biggest mover into the race, 4 places gain, up into the 2nd position overall at the end.
Indeed. Right, at the end of the 2nd rotation of qualifying heats, then it is Ruben Moya who still leads it with 94 points, but he is joint with 94 with Eli Goldstein. Mikko Votis 3rd in the points ahead of Aaron Garcia, Freddie Lloyd, Kevin Lantinga, Zach Green and Mattis Van der Kerkhoff. That is the top 8 after the 2nd rotation of qualifying heats. That is quite a list of names there, Guillaume.
Yes, it is.
Going into the 2nd half of this one. Here is the list of your race results in this one, though. Goldstein taking the win ahead of Van der Kerkhoff. Garcia from Utrecht, Glum from Van der Heyden, Pukkanen from Lantinga, Le Piccolo from Shout, Radek from Jalil, Ballard from Merkelbach, and then the rest as well. Max Radek down there as well. Linda's finishing inside that top 15. Emmanuel Leodikis from Le Mans, then it's Angelo Melli from Marcel Matijevic, Maxim Bruno from Dylan Patel, and Tristan Butcher round out the 22 finishers in that race. All drivers who started, finished, which is good to see. There is Ellie Goldstein, just giving some words of feedback after that one, but that's a good start to today in the dry conditions for the Belgian, who is, like you say, here to really see what he can do here in the Mariembourg circuit. Here's a look at the highlights. Good start for the field. You can see how Garcia immediately switching to the inside at the start there for Matthias Marchal. Not the one he would have wanted. He did drop down the order quite significantly to P10, but still is in a strong position in those intermediate classifications, so we'll keep a close eye on him. Goldstein to the lead past Lantinga. Kevin Lantinga at this point here, Guillaume, just seemingly dropping further and further back. A double overtake through T1. The pace just didn't look there going into the middle point of the race.
Yeah, that's where it all started. The door was open, turn number 1, and there was enough for Matthias van der Kerkhove and Aaron Garcia to dive through the Dutchman, and afterwards he just kept dropping place after place, leaving Garcia and van der Kerkhove battling along and chasing Ellie Goldstein as the Belgian was diving through the inside of the Spaniard, picking up second place, and we thought for a moment that it would be enough for him to catch up with Ellie Goldstein. In the meantime as well, a couple of drivers, the 247 fighting his way through, Sam van der Reyden diving on the inside of Kevin Lantinga, and one of the TBs out there, the 374, into trouble. That's where the dust came from Angelo Melli, as we said, who tumbled down the order in P18 as a result of that going off. As entering the later stages of that race, Matthias van der Kerkhove picking up the fastest lap into that qualifying heat, really coming very close on the rear bumper of Ellie Goldstein, but despite the pressure applied on the last 2 laps, he wasn't able to get ahead of the Belgian and fellow countrymen on the line, split by less than 0.2 of a second, with Ellie Goldstein picking up his first win of the weekend. But van der Kerkhove, watch out, finds himself within the top 8 of the classification, and Goldstein second on equal points to Ruben Moya. Remember that 2 years ago we had a very interesting, passionate fight between those two, so maybe will it be chapter 1 this time around?
Indeed. Right, we now turn our attention over to the juniors for their first race of the weekend. And this was a nice surprise. Archie Owen for the BMR karting team, pole position for the young Briton here in Belgium. Brilliant work from him. The time came from nowhere. Here's what he had to say after that session. Second group for Junior X30 here for the IAME Euro Series Round 4 in Belgium, Mariembourg. And Archie Owen, fastest overall, pole position. Congratulations. Where did that time come from?
Well, I've struggled a bit in the dry this week, and it's been wet for the last 2 sessions and been quite good in the wet, so it's quite a good result, I think.
It's worked out for you. Are you hoping for wet conditions then for the rest of the weekend?
I hope so. I don't think it's going to happen though.
Well, let's see. Championship's pretty much done and dusted, of course, Cranham taking that one, but still a fight on the hands. What are you hoping to achieve this weekend?
I think it's quite possible to get top 3 in the championship with a good result, so I'm hoping to win, to maximise the points.
Yeah. Well, that's what we'll keep our fingers crossed for. But Archie, brilliant time for you there, and yeah, let's see what you can do. Congratulations, and very well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good catch up there with Archie Owen. Not alone, though, on the front row of that grid. Will be joined by Stid de Rademaker, who will be joining him on the front row of that grid. This is going to be a very close fight between those two. It's still a very quick time for him in qualifying. Very strong pace from the field in this one. Louis Bazare, Aurelio Gustinelli as well. Very quick drivers. They'll be starting this one on the second row of the grid. There is Louis Bazare for the Victory Lane karting team. Head down, he's focused, ready to go racing on this one. As the whistle blows, we've probably got around 60 seconds or so before these karts will head out onto the circuit. Like we were talking about, championship is done for the juniors. Riley Cranham came into this weekend, even after drop scores, he's cleared by 110 championship points. He's not racing this weekend. But the good news is that he is here. So it's good to see that he's here, but he's not going to be taking onto the track. Louis Bazare, second in the points. He is still in a close championship fight with Jesse Phillips, though, for P2 overall at the end of this season. The same They're on 167 and 158 points still, so they're going to have a close fight on their hands. And for Louis Bazare starting this one on the second row of the grid, exactly where he wants to be. Jesse Phillips not in this group. He is in the next group. He also starts on the front row of the grid, though. So it's going to be a tantalizingly close fight in the juniors for second and third in the points. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Engines fire up, drivers make their way out onto the circuit. Let's take you through that full starting lineup. It is Archie Owen and Sid Maker on row number 1, Louis Bazare and Aurelio Gustinelli on row number 2. Alex Martinez and Elias Ebers-Doppler go from row 3. They'll have Noah Grenier and Theo Poliquin on row number 4. Max Endicott and Daniel Oliver go from row number 5. They'll have Edouard Godefroy and Finlay Lines taking the first half of the field on row number 6.
Row number 7, we have David Stefan Minciuna as well as Max Yule. Row number 8, Matteo Melis and Benjamin Westwood. Row number 9, Bruno Greling and Jules Decoun. Then we have on row number 10 at the back end of the grid, Max Lacroix, Jonas Pandis, Egor Ivachenko, as well as Jort de Vries, Lorenzo Villao and Roque Pinera. Riley Graham is not here with us, on track at least, but very much here at the Karting d'Espagne. And as you rightly mentioned, the championship is pretty much done for him, so his name appearing, but he's not on track. Still, there's a party, there's a celebration, there's a podium, and there are trophies to be bringing back home for the soon-to-be winner of this year's IAME Euro Series in the junior class. But well done to Rally. Congratulations are already in order with 3 podiums and 2 wins for the young British man, who decided to sit that one out, to let the other rivals and his fellow drivers do the show on track. But he's certainly watching everything that's happening on track from the sideline, as some of his fellow teammates from Fusion Motorsport will be battling at the forefront of that junior class. But Archie Owen stick the radar marker. Let's see what the young Belgian coming from the UAE will be willing to do on Omsol. Remember that back in Zuera, he won on track, but the penalty decided otherwise for young Stig de Rademacher. So certainly some revenge in the air, especially competing in Belgium.
Yeah, still very excited for the racing today with the juniors there. Martin Bean on the gantry. It's very cold out there, apparently, to Martin Bean. He is wrapped up nice and warm on that gantry, but he's at the elements, or at the mercy of the elements here this weekend. And like you say, it's on a knife edge, really. So many low-lying clouds around. It's just a case of not if it rains, but when it rains at some point, I think, over the course of this weekend. But the weather forecast has been, well, on and off, really, with it. And everyone is just seemingly unaware of what's going to happen. I thought this weekend it's going to be vital if you've got a good weather app, I think. Right, here we go then, into the final corner. We're ready to go racing. First time this weekend. I think they might go round again. They are going round again. It's a little bit too feisty for Archie Owen off the line there. He bolted. No one else did, though, and that has unfortunately sent the field round one more time.
Yeah, indeed, Archie Owen, the pole sitter, certainly a little bit too quick on the pedal just outside of the last turn. And as a pole sitter, he has to bring everybody down to a certain pace and for allowing all the drivers to get into the timeline in order before the light can go out. So let's go for another attempt. The driver is still having a bit of time to put some temperature into those MG tires with for the juniors 2 sets of slick tires that they have to play with between qualifying and the final of that weekend. So it's all about tire management. Hopefully for them, we won't have to switch too much to the wets, and the conditions will remain the same, as seniors had to play with those wet compounds yesterday for the first qualifying heats. The juniors, first time here on track in racing mode. And let's see if for the second time of asking, Archie Owen, the number 14 from BMR, will be able to pack everybody down just into the last few corners. As we sit here discussing this, it's always easier to be talking about it than just to do it practically onto the track with the pressure mounting on the shoulders. But this seems good this time around.
Indeed, very slow pace this time around as we go into the tram lines. This looks good as we get ready to go racing for the first time this weekend in Junior X30. It's lights out and we are racing through turn 1. Good start for the inside road, but watch out for the outside. Stid de Rademaker has had a good start. There's drama in the background. One kart has been spat out of the field. He is still in the race, but all the way right down to the back. We'll try and figure out who that is in a moment. But eyes on this. It is all still kicking off, but crucially, it is still a strong start for the young Briton. Archie Owen leads the way through turn number 5.
And the driver who got unfortunately caught up into incident is Bruno Grilling. Oh, and another one just outside of turn number 5, just going into the grass there. Didn't pick up the number just yet, but Bruno Grilling is the first driver who got tangled into the first turn. And it's pretty much, race lost. Unfortunately for him, he's still very much on track, but really at the back end of the order. And the other driver as well, there's some debris, as you can see, onto the track, but once again the marshals were quick to respond and intervene, so the track is clear. 1 lap completed, there's only 8 to go through for the juniors. Archie Owen, Stid de Rademaker still very much in the top 2, with Jas Erdős-Dobler up into P3 for Louis Bazire, Alex Martinez, and we have Noah Grenier, Théo Polican, Max Yule, Daniel Oliver Sanchez, as well as finally Finland Lions running up the top 10.
Indeed, yeah, everyone trying to push forward in this early stage. Gustinelli, of course, one of those drivers who got caught out at the start of this race, tumbling down to 24th on the grid here. Eyes on this right, Louis Bazire in the charge. Stid de Rademaker has now gone for the lead. Down the inside on Archie Owen. Through that final sector, Owen fights back though, and look at this now. One big train of cars to the race lead. It's only lap 2 here, Guillaume, but it's all guns blazing in Junior X30. Out of the final corner, it's still Owen that leads the way. De Rademaker is right there. Watch out for Bazire though. He's gone for the wider entry, and he's going to try and get it on the exit. He's got his nose down the inside. Can he get P2? No, he can't. And now Erdős-Dobler is right there behind. He's going to push him forward. He tries again at turn number 3. Does Bazire this time gets it done? Erdős-Dobler there as well. Martinez there, Théo Polican, Noah Grenier, all starting to close in. And now because of that, Archie Owen has been cleared as wide out. Is that Erdős-Dobler? I think it is.
I think it was, yeah.
And Lucas Erdős-Dobler from 3rd on this race has tumbled down now. I think it's around P6.
Yeah, too bad for the former pole sitter back in Zuera. He was very much on the pace to fight at the forefront, but we might need to see that again. It might have been a result of a contact. Yes, indeed, he finds himself in P9 now. Was it the result of a contact or a driver error that went very, very fast into the right end of turn number 5? It goes left and right at the moment into those early stages, halfway through. That's qualifying heat. On the inside goes the 51 of Martinez and Stid de Rademaker. The Belgian switching the racing line, trying to get back onto the power into the inside, and there he goes, and take third position back. That's all Louis Bazire has been asking for, trying to build himself a bit of a gap and give the chase to Archie Owen. 1.3 seconds now between the leader and Bazire in 2nd place. Stid de Rademaker under the pressure of Martinez and Théo Polican. Watch out for the young Frenchman from Dream Racing. Glued to Martinez onto the entry in turn number 6. Not quite able to pull a move just yet. But that gets together not only himself but Yule, Grenier. And let's have a look at what happened with...
So Erdős-Dobler on the outside there, a little bit of contact there with Stid de Rademaker. Yeah, just it's a fast corner is turn 5. It's not a direct 90 degree. You can just see that slightest touch. Just at the wrong moment there, unsettled Erdős-Dobler, and that is such an unfortunate place to have it done, because yeah, like I say, turn 5, very fast corner of the car, a lot of speed through there, a slight mistake, and yeah, you can go very wide. Look at it, Martinez looking really feisty in this early stage here. Guillaume is all over the back of de Rademaker, but not able to get a move done just yet. Max Yule, though, is the fastest driver on track. He is there in the number 75 in P5. The Mick Barrett Racing driver looking to get involved as well. He's had a great race, 9 places gained.
Yeah, 9 places, impressive recovery, even though the front
He's
fairing...
got a significant dent in that nose cone there, hasn't he?
Yeah, you spotted that too. Remains to be seen if the front fairing is misplaced, but as a result maybe of that great recovery of his up to P5, remains to be seen. But now he wants to go until the end and picking up maybe a couple of more places until the checkered flag. Louis Bazire, as you can see, not able to build the gap, and Stid de Rademaker on the inside of the Frenchman opens the door That's enough for Martinez, Yule, and maybe Polycar to find himself into the inside of Frenchman. Polycar stays behind, but for Basiré is going to come from second, potentially even more so. P6 maybe potentially, yes, with Noah Grenier who gets ahead of the Frenchman as well. With Louis Basiré all the way down to P7. He went from second to seventh in the course of just 3 corners.
Yeah, it shows how quickly it can all transpire, and that allows Archie Owensley to extend now to 2.5 seconds from this fight, which is for second place. You can see all these karts fighting for. Still the Rademacher there. Maxiel really capitalised at that moment at the opening part of this lap. As down the inside, big sense there. Grenier on the charge, now through past Martinez and up into P5. Big opening line there. As,
there's water.
Now
there's
is that water
leaking.
coming out of Maxiel's kart? It is. That's drama. He's going to need to stop that kart because that engine will seize. And if that water all disperses from his engine, there's no coolant in it, and it will just lock up on him. He's going to start to lose power. Surely the driver in third place. We saw that water pouring out of the radiator. The cap's gone. And that is drama for Maxiel in third place. And that could mean there could be some slippery stuff on that start-finish line.
Yeah, definitely into the first sector of the track, into number 1 and 2. No danger at least, or no driver into trouble. As for now, as we keep battling, further back, Louis Basiré, who fights back on Martinez for P7, for P6 now for the Frenchman for victory lane. A little bit of pace back into his tires for Louis Basiré, who just was caught up a little bit 2 laps ago.
Where is Yule? There's
from second to P7, sorry.
It's still going, so he's still got power, but he must be seeing on his dash on this final lap that the engine temp will be going up. If he's lost all the water in that radiator, that's going to be astronomically bad for him, but he is still fighting at this moment. In fact, if anything, he's catching up to Rademacher as Archie Owens sets the fastest lap of the race. We are on the final lap of this race, so hopefully he's wanting this engine to last just that little bit longer, is Maxiel.
Yeah, seems to be very much on the pace deal into the last lap.
Is that cap missing?
Yeah.
No, the cap's still there.
No, maybe so.
We definitely saw something coming out of that,
was
radiator on the start.
that was definitely water.
Yeah, a lot came out on that start-finish straight. But right, so we'll keep a close eye on this one then as well. Archie Owen, after a pole position in time qualifying, is going to see a checkered flag for the first race this weekend. He heads across the line. He wins by a staggering 3.6 seconds ahead of Stid de Rademacher. That is a solid drive. Maxiel's car does survive to finish in a third place. Polican in fourth from Noah Grenier. Louis Basiré finishing in P6 ahead of Martinez. Meles from Lines. Westwood rounds out the top 10. I'll be curious to see what happens to the likes of Maxiel. I'm curious about that at Radiator. Stid de Rademacher, though, right at the end there, under investigation.
Yeah, maybe something to do with what we've seen, an incident that happened in turn at number 5. And as a result, unfortunately, we had Hervé Dobler going off the track and finishing P18 in the end. Maxiel still with that a bit of water linking, the biggest mover into that race. 11 places gained up to P3. So well done to him, despite a little bit of a worry on the technical side. We might need to see that again. But in the end, it seemed to not have caused too much trouble for Maxiel, who was able to see the checkered flag after that great recovery. Here's the classification in full. Archie Owens, Stid de Rademacher under investigation, as we said. Maxiel third, Theo Polican fourth place. From Noah Grenier, Louis Basiré picking up 6th place in the end from Martinez. Matteo Melis, finally Lines, Benjamin Westwood, your top 10. From Daniel Oliver Sanchez, Edouard Godefroy, Max Endecotte, David Stéphane, Roque Pinera, Max Lacroix P16. Another back end of the classification, Bruno Grelling, Elias Erdes-Dobler. A race that went from bad to even worse for the German driver, from Stuart de Vries, Jules de Koen, Egor Ivanchenko, Lorenzo Blau and Aurelio Gustinelli, as well as Jonas Pendis. All the drivers made it to the checkered flag with Rally Graham on the sideline to watch it all play out. But well done to Archie Owen from pole to the win, 3.6 seconds on the line. A race well managed from the PMR Racing driver, considering all the battles that happened behind him. It was a pretty much left on his own to do his thing, and he did that brilliantly with his first win of the weekend for Archie Owen, who's against some of the names that we're going to have to keep an eye on all throughout the weekend. P6 in the championship, not really at this point a contender in points for the remaining places on the podium of the championship, but anything still can happen.
Indeed. Here's a look at the highlights of this race, and well, you can see the start pretty calm for the field, apart from one there. You were saying, unfortunately for Bruno Grilling, he was dropping down the order in that one, and yeah, had a bit of a tough start. Eyes on the rest, though. This is where we had the drama for, I think, Aurelio Gustinelli, and this is going to be a very, very interesting one. Debris on the circuit. Look at that. From that moment on that opening lap, great work from the marshals straight out there to clear that debris. But yeah, that was a very, very feisty opening lap for a couple of those drivers there, Guillaume.
Yeah, it was, and it kept on being feisty all throughout the qualifying race, with Martinez and Basire at some point fighting his way through on Stig de Rademacher, beautifully made on the inside of turn number 3, and then shutting that door halfway through the racing line onto turn number 4, making sure that he could secure that line. And then the slight contact with de Rademacher and Elias Erdesdobler, resulting of the German's race being finished on lap number 3. The slightest of touch, and an investigation ongoing for Stig de Rademacher, maybe as a result of that moment, before he would drop another place to Martinez, switching the racing line, trying to fight against the Spaniard. Martinez would finish P7th, and de Rademacher would hold on to that second place after having defeated Martinez first and then attacking Louis Basire. But further back, one of the best performances in terms of recovery so far from Max Yule, climbing 11 places. And then there's a moment when Basire opened the door a little bit too much. Stig de Rademacher was first, Martinez came along, then we had Théo Policor, Noah Grenier, all diving through the inside of the Frenchman. And then from that point on, it was just about survival for Basire.
It certainly was. He did fight back, though, in that latter stage of the race. But it was Max Yule that we were watching at this point. The 11 places gained really pushed forward in that early stage of the race. The second half as well really delivered. But it was that moment on the start-finish straight. That radiator, don't know what it was, but look at this here. Look at all of that fluid coming out of that radiator. Now, is that just it's overpressured or overfilled? I thought the cap had come off with the amount that was coming out there, but when we watched it back, it looked like there was a lot more. It looked like the cap was still there, so completely unaware of that one, but that would be a curious one to look at after this one. Archie Owen takes the win across the line. I have seen him walk down the front of the commentary box to our race director, Martin Bean. I think that maybe I'm speculating. It's pure speculation, probably for that first start. Just like say, you were a bit quick, bring it back. Second one was good as well. So that is just speculation. Right, here's what you can expect to see coming up for the rest of the day. It's a little bit later on in the day on this one, but we've got a multitude. Basically, we're just going back and forward throughout the classes. We've got another junior coming up next. That'll be Group C and D. Then we go to the minis, Groups A and B, C and D as well for their first races. We take the lunch break at around 12 o'clock. That's about for an hour or so. Then we come back with the seniors for their third round of qualifying heats before they go into the next rotation of junior, mini, senior, junior, mini, all the way through the end of the day. The last three races starting at around about 6:30. We're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you for the second race for the junior X30 class.
It makes life a lot easier out the track, so you don't have to worry about school and on-track performance and grades and all that sort of stuff.
The school understands exactly what I'm doing. They understand, how important it is for me, and the schedule that they, cater for me is really well balanced, and I really enjoy it.
It's a very fine balance between his sporting career and also his studies. He doesn't have to compromise on either. I'm very happy that Minerva has supported us through this journey.
The communication is great, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think MVA would help a lot of other races. A lot of people come into the track and asking about it. What do you do for homeschool? Like, how does it work? And I always say, Minerva, you need to contact them and get going with them, because it's made my life so much easier.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to live coverage of the fourth and final round of the IAME Euro Series in 2025. Junior X30 qualifying Heat C versus D is the next one to grace its presence onto the circuit. Myself, Anthony Jordan, Guillaume Alvarez in the box. Again, we've already had a very exciting first half of the morning. We've already seen very exciting first junior qualifying heat of the day, which sees Archie Owen take the win. Now it's time to see some more championship contenders go to work on this one, because you've got Dan Alleman and Jesse Phillips on the front row of the grid for this one. They are contenders still for the second, third, fourth places in the championship. And of course, there is still two fabulous trophies up for grabs for P2 and P3 in the series. Right, engines have fired up. Drivers make their way out. Let's take you through that full starting lineup. It is Dan Alleman and Jesse Phillips on road number 1. Czech Peters and Didier Krief go from road 2. They'll have Ludwig Granqvist and Lorenz de Kock on row number 3. Antoine Duval and Gabriel Canal round out row number 4. Bing van Schreindel and Niels Malik go from row 5. They'll have Jan Rodriguez and Aurélien Lemaire, who round out the first half of the field.
Then on row number 7, we're going to have Maurice Verkhuis and Zoltan Cognier, Adrian Canal and Mathis Mouche on row number 8, row number 9, Freddie Wood and Flavio Kera, then Antoine Butz and Jacob Bachelor on row number 10, in row 11, Harley Musk and Alexandre Point, then Jörg Renner and Veer Chopra on row number 12. 24 drivers in, and we do have everybody on the track right now for that 8-lap race, C versus D of the junior category, the first rotation of qualifying heat. They're going to have 2 more after that until the end of the day. Not a lot of racing before the super heat for the junior competitors, but plenty of battles as we've seen earlier just before. But watch out, Dan Alleman, JC Phillips. JC Phillips has won the IAME Euro Series in the mini class before. Dan Alleman was won as well on the international IAME class as well. So 2 big names for the past few seasons winning in those classes. Didier Krief, one of the teammates of JC Phillips at Fusion Motorsport, from the second row of the grid with Czech Peters just behind. Watch out from Lorenz de Kock, a big name on national ground as well. And Antoine Duval, who has been climbing through the ranks on national racing in Belgium, son of the former rally champion François Duval, who is now stepping into the shoes of his father on karting level with the likes of Euro karting. So a lot of talent into the junior field. And a lot of action that you can expect here as we are on board with Jack Peters, the Dutchman from Opt Racing, the 97. And he will be up there on top of the grid from starting from third onto that second line. So watch out from the action right from the driver's perspective.
Yes, indeed. Looking back there at Ludwig Granqvist, let's see if we're going to be going racing first time in Group C versus D as they head into the tram lines. That's how bunched up they are. Czech Peters is bolted. Here we go. Are we racing? Lights out. We are racing. Down in towards turn number 1. It's a good start for Alleman on that inside line. He will have to defend, though, going in towards turn 2, because I'm sure Jesse Phillips will be right on his case, which he isn't, because he's dropped down to 3rd place. It's Czech Peters who finds himself now there in 2nd place. He'll be looking back at all that field as Granqvist sends it down the inside of Didier Krief. And Krief will not be liking that one. He has tumbled down the order.
Yeah, Czech Peters, a beautiful move just on that opening lap. Pretty good getaway for everybody. Oh, and one driver going off just before that hairpin. That was one of the fusions. Further
that is
back.
Krief again.
Yeah, that was Krief, maybe. Yes, certainly dropping positions. A little bit of a mistake. We might need to see that again from the young Dutchman. But Didier Krief, a little bit of a trouble there on that opening course, as drivers getting themselves aligned into that 3rd sector with Dan Alleman in the lead. As for now, they're going to conclude that first course on the karting de Fagnes. Dan Alleman, JC Phillips, Czech Peters fighting for 2nd place. Ludwig Granqvist, Lorenz de Kock. Where is Didier Krief? All the way down to P12, and another driver in trouble, I'm afraid, 108.
That is Adrien Canal, unfortunately, the PB Racing kart driver from France, out at the tail end of the circuit. That's around in Sector 3 at turns 12. He is going no further. There, also out of the race, is Jacob Bachler, and I think he's also gone off with his teammate as well. That is Freddie Wood going no further. 2 Jamie Green Racing machines out of this race.
Wow, that's unusual. I do wonder what happened there. Did they go into contact or mechanical trouble for both of them? But They are back in the Parc Fermé. They were on track for the formation lap and for the starting procedure, but back into the Parc Fermé afterwards, as still yellow flag being waved into the last sector. That's for Adrien Canal from PB Car, unfortunately. As on the inside, the battle is raging with Louis Grandkix and Lawrence de Kock. Watch out from 119. De Kock is trying his luck and goes on the inside. And the 97 of Czech Petersen is dropping positions and dropping ground into that race, unfortunately. We're on board with the Dutchman being chased by De Kock, as well as the Euro karting driver Antoine Duval. Duval just made his way past Grandkix and De Kock for now. He's going to try to chase Czech Petersen onto the hairpin. Just on the inside, the slide kick into the last sector of the track. Beautiful piece of driving, and what a view it is. This is from the rear bumper from Czech Petersen. Antoine Duval on the chase. Then we have the likes of Grandkix as well as Laurens de Kock just behind. Picky van Schedel, Gabriel Canal in P8, Jan Rodriguez and Zoltan Koni running up the top 10.
Indeed, still very close in that fight. Eyes on this one though. Phillips has closed in and has gone for it down the inside at turn number 1, but Alaman is wise to it and sends it back down the inside on the exit. The two swapping places there. Grandkix will be liking this sight because he will close in astronomically fast at this rate. Once again, Phillips is through, immediately goes on the defensive line in towards turn number 4. That backs Alaman up into Grandkix. But let's see how this one unfolds, because now Phillips in control at the front. Alaman seemingly not retaliating at this point of the race. So we are at the midway point of this race as well. It goes by quickly in the juniors. Only 8 laps their qualifying heats. They will extend later on into the weekend, of course, when they go into their super heats and finals. However, right now, these races do disappear quite quickly for them. Out of the final corners, back onto the start-finish straight. Phillips now leads the way, 0.2 of a second from Alaman. Grandkix still there in third. Then it's the Peters battle, who is, wow, all on that defensive line. Antoine Duval is going to try and go for that switch-over move. He looks to the inside, not close enough at turn number 2. And thinks against it. This is an almighty fight that is happening on board. You can see the little tighter inside line there for the Euro karting driver, as well as the Fusion driver as well. Laurens de Kock still trying to get his nose down the inside of this fight. Great views looking back here from Czech Peters, just to showcase how physical the lap is here at Mariembourg.
Now, Antoine Duval is not able to find that bit of a gap that could allow him to get past Czech Petersen. Maybe into the last sector, the closer you get, and maybe the better chances you'll have on the way down to turn number 12. Not quite able to make that stick just yet. The two leaders back with JC Phillips and Dan Hardeman, close on track, close on points as well in the championship, respectively second and third into the ranking. Shall I say third and fourth behind Louis Bazire that we had just before on track. Considering that Bazire lost places on the P6 in his first qualifying heat, there's a chance for grabbing points and positions as well when it comes to the superheat grid later on. And JC Phillips and Dan Hardeman are both very much aware of that. Fastest lap for the Swiss driver from Spirit Racing. Can he try his luck as Czech Petersen dropped another place down to P10. In the meantime, as Dan Hardeman dives on the inside of Phillips into the hairpin, takes P1. Textbook sort of move from Dan Hardeman. No resistance whatsoever from JC Phillips. He drives with his head as well. He knows that he has the pace. The question is now, with the time that he has left on his hand, will he be able to switch those positions again?
Indeed. Jesse Phillips, though, I'm sure will not give that one up too easily. Already see him go for the move at turn number 1 in previous laps. This time around thinking against it, maybe saving it for turn number 3. We have seen that tactic be deployed in the seniors earlier on, where we saw those moves in towards turn number 1, then they wait on the next lap for 3. This time around, not the case. Has stayed behind as we're on lap number 7 of 8 right now. But time for Phillips is running out as Alaman now sets the fastest lap of the race. However, that gap is still just 1/10 of a second. Phillips is plenty close enough to pile on the pressure here to Dan Alaman, who at this moment seemingly doing a very controlled job from the front of the grid in this race. Eyes still firmly fixated on this fight as Grandkix holds on to 3rd place still. We look back to Czech Peters. This is what happened to him. An unfortunate bit of contact with Grandkix I think just sending him wide, the exit of turn number 3. And unfortunately, that dropped him all the way down to P10 at the end of it. Fight is on, though, for the front runners. Phillips back down the inside.
Here we go. That's the last lap, ladies and gentlemen. GC Phillips back in the lead, watching over the shoulder. Dan Harleman is very much there for the taking. This is going to go for the move at least. Oh, and a slight mistake. Or was this the result of a contact for GC Phillips, who just went moving onto the left on the outside, didn't seem to be in control. Back at it on the power, into the hairpin. Dan Harleman very much sniffing on the rear bumper, trying to go left and right. Maybe the slightest of opportunity will be enough for Dan Harleman to get his hand back on that P1. Into the sector of the escargot, the last one. Oh, round the inside he goes into turn number 10 and 11. Beautifully made from Dan Harleman. We haven't seen that just yet this weekend. Oh, and a little bit of a contact with Grankis as well.
Oh.
Passing them 1, maybe 2 onto the finish line for the finish arrival between those 3 in the center. Who's going to win it? And this is Dan Harleman for just 27,000 of a second. Grankis having to make the way third. Phillips just in between. Sandwich arrival. What a finish that was. What a move first for Dan Harleman, who came very close to lose it all.
I can imagine some new race suits will be needed after that photo finish across the line. Jesse Phillips on the grass there, trying to keep it on the track. Brilliant stuff. And like you mentioned, 7 hundredths of a second separating the top 3 out there. Crazy, crazy finish. But Dan Harleman taking the win, joins Archie Owen with 50 points to his name, and this will help out his championship fight, of course. Phillips finishing it in P2, Granqvist taking 3rd ahead of Duval, De Kock finishing in 5th place from Lemaire, Coyne from Van Schleindel, Rodriguez from Peters, who rounds out the top 10. Very feisty racing, though, there, Guillaume, for the juniors. We'll see them out later on today with the minis coming up next. There is the rest of the results there on your screen. Maurice Recruz finishing in P11 from Gabriel Canal, Didier Krief from Nilas Malik, Flavio Cara and Harley Muscovich, Opera and Matis Mouche round out the top 18 on circuit. Jug Rana, Antoine Boots, Alexandre Points are the 21 finishes in that race. Adrian Canal, Freddie Wood and Jacob Bachelor all retiring from that race.
Yeah, what a race, what a finish that was. Dan Harleman just pulled off one of the best moves so far into that sector, that double right-hander in 10 and 11, something that we don't get to see that much, especially into the last lap. But then hell unfolded with the resistance of JC Phillips. That door opened again. Dan Harleman wasn't secure, and Ludwig Grankist thought to himself, well, they might, as you can see, back on board with Jack Peterson being chased at the start by Grankist on the left side with Laurens de Kock.
It was Didier Krieft who had a really tough start to that race, wasn't it? So Krieft, this is the moment. Yeah, again, that looked like it was all by himself there. Just ran wide going into the entry of that turn, and that seemingly just got him straight back into the pack. That was a big shame for him there. Phillips on the early charge, back up into P2, was able to close in there. Unfortunately, Adrian Canal out of the race. That is at turn 12, seemingly at the same time. We lost Freddie Wood and Jacob Basher. They both retired into Parc Ferme in that one, so unsure what happened there. This was the fight for the lead, though. Lap number 3 of the race. Harleman and Phillips wheel to wheel for the majority of that race.
And then at some point, Harleman would take back the lead of that race. JC Phillips waiting in the wings just to try to get his leg back. Antoine Duval chasing Czech Petersen, and then that moment with Grankist, unfortunately, resulting of an incident on the outside of turn number 3, and from that point on, where Czech Petersen dropped place after places all the way down to P10, and then just 2 laps less than that before the checkered flag. Then Harleman taking the lead back. JC Phillips switching those positions again into turn number 1 as we would enter the very latest stages of that qualifying heat, and the heat was very much on at this point. A slight touch in the heat of the battle, and what looked like a mistake or the result of another slight touch for JC Phillips. Then that move into turn number 10, the right-hander. We thought that for a second that it was secured. Then Grankist was trying his luck as well on the inside into the turn number 12. and that photo finish side by side with Dan Hallerman. Poor Dan just stuck in the middle of those two, and maybe a couple of 100 meters more, and Grandkist could have maybe dropped them both onto the line and win this qualifying heat. But Dan Hallerman looking both left and right to see what could happen, and with on the finish, GC Phillips slightly stuck on the grass for a moment there as they were crossing the line, split by just 500 of a second. What a finish.
Indeed, very, very close right at the end there, and it is a long run. It was so exciting, the cows got up as well, so there you go. Shows how exciting the juniors were, but minis are coming up next. They will have their first two races of the weekend, and it was a very interesting one in timed qualifying. We saw a brilliant run from George House, once again showcasing some great speed. The championship leader going into this weekend is still in a fight on his hands in that championship. Milan Baku is the driver who he needs to beat. And where does he start in this race, Guillaume? He starts right alongside George House on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, one big first line of a grid here with Milan Baku. You can see him from the Eggman's Grand Prix Racing team with Ross Epton, the starting grid officer, just on your picture as well. But Milan Baku was, for the past two races in Wackersdorf and Zwaara, has been the king of the finish arrival on the checkered flag each time of the finals. He picked up the win in Germany, was second in Spain, but every time for just the minimal of advantage. Let's see what's going to happen this time around. But Milan Baku, very much the man on form, second in the championship as we speak, 53 points down from George House. Not as significant of an advantage as Raleigh Cranham in the junior, but still, that's quite a very comfortable cushion of points for little George House from Great Britain. So will it be enough for him to secure what will be his first IAME Euro Series title in the mini class? That remains to be seen, as the mini will have 3 rotations of races as well, 3 races each to try to get that position secure on the starting grid of the Superheat. Here's George House, as we heard from him earlier, the young driver from Britain, from Excel Motorsport, who's going to be starting from pole position on this one. We caught up with him just before we get started. Let's hear from Josh House, our pole sitter. Josh House, a job well done for you here in Mariembourg, a track that you discovered this weekend, but in qualifying you did the job with the best lap in your opening group.
Yeah, thank you. It was very difficult, really. It was no reference in front of me to have, but I just kind of found the line and just pushed it as hard as I could on that last lap and just managed to get it in pole, which I'm really happy of.
You come in here for the final of the season as the championship leader in the class. Does that put any more pressure on your shoulders?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm quite confident we can do it. Just poled it, so I'm happy with that.
Conditions were a bit half and half between rain and dry. If you were to choose for the rest of the weekend, what would it be?
Well, we've done quite well in the wet just then. So I've never been here in the wet before, so maybe the wet would be good.
All right, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Good chat there with George House, of course. Very important weekend for him here. The same for this young man here, Milan Baku, winner in Wackersdorf, now in the title fight. He has got around a 53-point deficit in the points to George House, but remember, drop scores come into play. Now, George House won't need to effectively drop any scores on this one. They do lose their worst result for the Superheats and a worst result for their finals. George House at Wackersdorf didn't score any championship points in the Superheats phase or the final, so his points have already technically been dropped, and he still leads by 53. So he's got a really good hopeful chance on this one, but mathematically, it is still very possible for that title fight to go to the very end in that final, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Eyes on the field, though, because it's not just them. It's very close in the back stages as well, because you've got Harry Williams, who's there at third, Austin Newstead, Christian Kobe, and Daniel Ferguson. They are all tantalizingly close in the points. 149 apiece for Williams and Newstead, 143 for Christian Kobe. For Daniel Ferguson, it's a slight outside chance with 119 he's currently got, but again, still for him to fight up in that top sections and maybe even get up into second in the points, very, very possible indeed. We'll keep a close eye on that one as the engines fire up. Drivers make their way out onto the circuit. Let's take you through the full lineup of drivers as we get ready to go racing for Mini X30. It is George House and Milan Baku, first and second in the championship on the front row. Christian Kobe and Daniel Ferguson also in the championship fight on row number 2. Mila Cornell and Edouard Bannister on the third row of the grid. Mason Kwong and Mattis Pearsons go from row number 4. They'll have Harry Williams and Martin Rodriguez on row number 5.
And row number 6, we have Nahil El Gahoudi, then Luis Paternot by his side, Matteo Campobello and Arthur Yassogno, row number 7, row number 8, Philippe Massa and Maxime Van Kran, and then Mati Chechin and Charles Clot on row number 9. A total of 18 drivers that we have this time around for the mini class, and 1 lap less than the juniors, 7 course of the karting. They find the layout for those mini drivers. As at the start of the weekend, we had 35 entrants representing 10 nationalities for the youngest of drivers as part of the IAME Euro Series. Watch out, who can beat George House, the young pole sitter, putting on pole for the first time this year, and a lot of diversity, a lot of talent throughout this class, with the likes of Wayne Golchak at the Winter Cup, but also Mathis Brajo, Ural, Clark, as well as George House, putting himself in the lead in qualifying. Diversity as well in the heat lead and in the wins, with different winners twice for George House in Cremona and in Zuera. And when Golchak winning up the Winter Cup before the start of the season. So the Excel Motorsport driver, very much the man on form before things didn't go according to plan, as you said, in Wackersdorf. But despite this, pretty good advantage as Martin Bean, or his director, is waiting for the young ones to complete the warm lap, with Milan Beku, the man of the hour, trying certainly his luck on Omsol, representing a GP.
Here we go then into the final sector. They'll pass the red line now. There it is. No overtaking beyond this point. They should be in 2x2 rolling start formation, to which they are. First time we will see the Mini X30s out on track this weekend in a racing capacity. And it is your front 2 in the championship on the front row of the grid. Now you can see there that Milan Baku is asking his road to slow down, and he's wanting George House's road to speed up, as they do now. Lights are out, we are racing. It's a good start for the field. It's a better start for the inside row, as House, Kobe and Canil go 1, 2, 3. Where did Milan Baku end up in all of that one? He's down to about P5, P6 now. He's on the outside, he's tumbling down the order. This is a terrible start for the man who is sitting second in the points, and his championship rival is breaking away at the front, but it's a good start still. Ferguson's found himself there in second place now. Drama in the background. Heavy contact into the wall. Multiple drivers out. There you can see, I think that's Maxim Van Kern. He's out of the race. You've got 2 more. One of them, the BDKs.
Philippe Massard as well.
Yeah, indeed. Massard is out. That is drama for a handful of the drivers. I think Louis Paternotte as well as another that had a moment out there. But yeah, Philippe Massard, Max Van Kern there as well, and Martin Chechen Gomez as well, I think also had some drama. Thankfully, they're all okay. But they're all out trying to get their car started again. But that is drama on that opening lap.
Yeah, unfortunately for those young 3 drivers, 2 of them still stuck. Luis Paternot as well as Philippe Massa. We'll get back to that. In the meantime, George House is leading your peloton with Christian Corby, Milan Cornel, Harry Williams climbing 5 places up to P4. And as you can see, unfortunately, that is race done for now, thanks to the marshals once again working and fast to interact and to get onto the scene of the incident. But the battle is on. Josh House under the pressure of Kobe, the Irish driver, very much on the rear bumper of the leader, with a little bit of help from his Fusion Motorsport teammate. But for the back, Harry Williams, Cornel, then Mason Kwong, Nahil Gahoudi running at the top 6. We still have yellow flag being waved.
We've got Matteo Campobello, unfortunately, out of the race at turn number 3 as round is that Milan Baku out of this fight. He's dropped down even more. I think that was Mason Kwong initially on the spin, maybe with Nahil El Gahoudi. I think it was. They've gone round. Baku's gone down the order as well. It's going bad to worse as the driver in second in the championship.
Yeah, what a shame. We might need to see that again, but I think Milan Baku seemed to have gone into a spin outside of turn number 12, and his teammate just had no other choice but to run into him. Fortunately, those two are still on track and seem to be okay. But we came close to a big coming together into the last sector of the track. As a little bit of mayhem into that opening mini junior heat, to say the least. In the lead now, Harry Williams, ladies and gentlemen, and Christian Corby. Well, in the meantime, Josh House dropping to third. The championship leader and pole sitter still very early into this qualifying heat, so nothing is quite done yet for the excellent motorsport driver. But those two in the lead, working together. Harry Williams climbing 8 places into that race, taking Corby in the lead. Watch out on the way to turn 1. Will there be already a response of Josh House? Will he try to... no, he's deciding against it just for now, staying in third, and see what happens.
This is that incident right at the start of the race. You can just see his drivers going wide. Yeah, it's very bumpy there. That's so unfortunate there, and that's a big hit into the barriers for Matteo Campobello. Yeah, it was the earlier one.
Maxim Van Crane
got the hit on the side. Yeah, that was that big moment there. As well is Louis Paternotte. He was trying to get his kart started. Unfortunately, didn't go well. There was the moment. Round went Nahil El Gahoudi, who clipped the back of the driver in front of him. That put him into a spin and then into the oncoming path of, unfortunately, Milan Baku as well. So that's a big, unfortunate one for him there. There is George House, still in the lead. There is the battle behind him that is ensuing. Harry Williams now down the inside. That has put him up into second place, and it's all going to start kicking off, I think, here. Daniel Ferguson trying to get back involved. Not close enough this time around, stays just behind, but it is a Britain 1-2-3. The Irishman of Christian Kobe is on the fight as well. He's got through with Ferguson. Williams now back down to 4th, as down the inside goes Ferguson. He's now got second place.
And Josh House taking back the lead as we're watching the replays for the moment there. But now, a little bit of sideways going into turn number 5. But that's the moment certainly where that race could get into the hands of Josh House, as the Fusion teammates are still exchanging positions as they lose momentum and lose time on Josh House, pulling up a gap on Ferguson, now up into P2, the driver from Great Britain. Let's have a look back at what happened. Here's the move from Josh House into the hairpin. Turn number 6, battle of the teammates, and around the inside goes Josh House, beautifully made, driving with his head as well, waiting for the right moment. The opportunity was there, and yeah, he had the space just to make the move happen. And looking at the gap now, 0.3 of a second, still nothing is quite done yet for Josh House. Daniel Ferguson keeping the pace up, and his head down to try to decrease that gap on Josh House. And Harry Williams and Christian Corby certainly feeling a little bit to have been fooled, shall I say, by Josh House going past them both at one time. So maybe they're going to try to, give him the money back.
Milan Baku has not given up in this one. Fastest lap of the race, 101.746 on the charge back through the field here. Still there in 11th place, but showcasing that the pace is there. And looking to see if he can try and gain any places back. But time very quickly running out here, Guillaume. They'll be going on to the last lap of this race at the end of this one. And right now, George House still in control. Ferguson, Williams, Kobe and Cornell battle now is starting to rage on. Here comes Ferguson down the inside onto the last lap. Change for the lead. Keep an eye on Williams as well. He'll get involved, but a switch over once more. House back on the inside line. Here comes Williams. Can he get involved? He can't just yet. Ferguson keeps it wheel to wheel with House once again through turn number 3. This time Williams finds his way through, and now George House really needs to think what he wants to do here, because it's all kicking off. Williams is back, Kobe's back, Cornell is there as well. It's a big old fight for the race lead here, Guillaume.
Yeah, 5 drivers, pretty much the same picture. Oh, and Josh Howes run the inside onto the curb and try to get the position. He's gonna lose it. Quite the other way around. It went from P2 to P4, allowing Kobe and Williams in. That's certainly the moment that Daniel Ferguson had been working towards. He's still in the lead. Can he hold on to that in the next 2 corners? The last one before the finish, as the 2 teammate drivers keep on battling for second position. They're losing momentum and contact with the leader, and that's gonna go the way of Daniel Ferguson from BMR, winning his first qualifying heat of the weekend. As in the meantime, for the finish between Kobe, Williams and Josh Howes in that order. But the pole sitter, we thought for a moment, had the race secured, but the others decided otherwise.
Well, the BMR boys have got some pace this weekend. That's a win in the juniors. Now a win for the team in the minis as well with Daniel Ferguson. That is a superb drive for the young Briton, who finishes ahead of Christian Kobe, Harry Williams and George House. Charles Clough had a really good race in that one. Guillaume, a 13th place gain, rounds him up into that top 5.
Yeah, beautiful performance indeed. And the kind of victory that we like to see secured in the very last stages. 13 places gained for Charles Clough, the biggest mover indeed, up to P5. But a race to forget definitely for some of the drivers from RGP Racing Team, with the likes of Milan Beku, but also Maxim Van Kranen and Nahil Al-Gahoudi not having the best of outcome. Ferguson, in the meantime, picking up his first win of the weekend from Kobe, Williams, Josh House, Clough, Milo Cornel, Milan Beku, all the way down to P7 as he was starting from the front row of the grid from Mason Kwong. Arthur Jassogne, running at the top 10 is Mathis Piessens from Nahil Al-Gahoudi, followed by Martin Rodriguez, Edouard Berger, Philippe Massard, the last one from VDK to see the checkered flag after the trouble he went through. And a couple of drivers who didn't see it through, unfortunately. Martin Sechin, Maxime Van Kran, as we said, Luis Paternot and Matteo Campobello, 4 drivers out of this race.
Indeed, a big shame for them, but smiles all around for Daniel Ferguson. Good work from him, and he can be delighted with that one at the end of his first race of the weekend. He will go into his second later on as the current points leader. Let's have a look at the highlights from that one. And, well, for House right at the start, initially, good getaway. The inside row worked well for the likes of Daniel Ferguson. He was on that outside row, and we saw how they didn't get the getaway. Luckily, he was able to push his way forward. This was the moment here. Oh, that is a big hit into that wall. So easily done, the exit of turn number 4. It's very bumpy later in the lap as well. We saw more dramas. Marshals once again quickly on the scene. But 4 drivers out right at the start. Campobello, Paternot, Van Kreen and Chechin all out of the race right at that very start.
Yeah, definitely so. Not the best of start to their weekend for those young ones, and you could feel the emotions, the frustration. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. The frustration going through their heads, and for a GP Racing Team, a race certainly going from bad to worse. The small mistake for Nahil Al-Gahoudi, but Milan Beku was just behind him and nowhere else to go but to hit his teammate, quite unfortunately. But in the meantime, the battle was raging as Josh Howe at some point lost the lead to the Fusion boys of Christian Kobe and Harry Williams in that order, trying to keep up as well as those two were battling for who would take the lead. But on lap number 4, well, beautiful dive on the inside of the hairpin for the Excel driver back in the lead, allowing Daniel Ferguson to join in. And then that was the start of the attack from Ferguson first on Kobe and Williams up into P2 as the race was coming to a close. And then we thought for a second that the Fusion teammates would be close enough to maybe have a say into the battle for the win, but it was all down to Ferguson clipping the curb, going from the inside halfway through the start-finish straight, and then taking the lead. That would translate into P1 on the penultimate lap.
That start-finish line is so far down the straight that these drivers get a really good run, and it doesn't mean that if you are side by side or you're line astern, there is a chance you could lose out on it on that start-finish straight. Slipstream comes into effect, and you saw how close they were over that line. Ferguson again continuing that trend. This time, though, William was able to get his nose down the inside. Kobe closed in, but it was this point that really struggled for House. So he got the move down the inside, but now he's on the outside. Soon as he lost that momentum on the inside, the train went through first, down to fourth, and that's how quickly it can happen. And House still having a good race. Of course, he's in a championship fight with Milan Baku. Milan Baku, who was also in that race, did drop down significantly more, but it's still in that title fight. Right at the end, though, Ferguson clean and dry at the end. He would be one to watch this weekend. Checker flag for him in his first race, and showcasing that, like I say, the boys of BMR have got a good package this weekend, not only in the juniors, but also in those minis. One more mini race to go then before we go into the lunch break today. That race will be coming up in around about 5 minutes or so. That will be qualifying Heat C versus D. That puts us then into that lunch break. It won't be too long, around 40, 30 minutes or so. And then we are back with the Senior X30 racing for their third rotation, which still at this moment currently sees Ruben Moore at the sharp end of that one, but he is joined with Ellie Goldstein as well. It's going to be a very busy weekend, I'm sure, on this one. Guillaume, like we say, championships still to be decided in the seniors and the minis. For the juniors, the fight is still on for second and third in the championship. Riley Cranham taking the overall win, though. That brilliant weekend in Wackersdorf, the consistency over the course of the season as well, has put him in that lead. Champion-elect on that one. Right, we're going to take a short break. Do not go anywhere, though. The second mini race coming up very, very soon.
It makes life a lot easier out the track, so you don't have to worry about school and on-track performance and grades and all that sort of stuff.
The school understands exactly what I'm doing. They understand, how important it is for me, and the schedule that they, cater for me is really well balanced, and I really enjoy it.
It's a very fine balance between his sporting career and also his studies. He doesn't have to compromise on either. I'm very happy that Mariembourg has supported us through this journey.
The communication is great, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think MVA would help a lot of other races. A lot of people come into the track and asking about it. What do you do for homeschool? Like, how does it work? And I always say, Minerva, you need to contact them and get going with them, because it's made my life so much easier.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching live coverage of the IAME Euro Series 2025, round 4 here at Karting Tifania in Mariembourg, Belgium for the finale. Mini X30 qualifying Heat C versus D is the next one to head out onto the circuit. We've already seen a very dramatic first Mini X30 race, which saw Daniel Ferguson take the win. What will be the story in race number 2, which will see Mason Hibbert on the pole position spot? There he is on your screen, primed and ready to go in this one, but not alone. Mathis Brageau joins him on that front row of the grid. He is surrounded by many talented drivers. Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio is there as well. And Colby Patterson joining on that second row of the grid. So certainly going to be a very dramatic race in this one. But eyes will be focusing on those drivers at the sharp end of the field. There is Mathis Brageot on that front row of the grid. The Frenchman for the Spirit Racing team has looked strong so far this weekend in testing and in qualifying. So crucial to see what he can do in this race. Guillaume Avrez back in the box here, and it is, going to be an exciting one after what we saw in that first one. Curious to see what happens here.
Yeah, definitely. So with the Spirit Racing team always among the top contenders. We've seen that with Dan Halleman, for instance. And in this class, Mathis Brageot, one of the fastest in this morning non-qualifying practice of yesterday. Here's the grid in full with Mason Heibert starting from pole position, Mathis Brageot by his side, Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio and Colby Patterson on row number 2, row number 3, Charles Ural and Nico Schuertz, row number 4, Denver Boss and Dieter Derdal, row number 5, Johnson Stewart and Jay Kostecki.
The next rows on there sees Min Jae Kim from South Korea and Aurelia Longatano, Andy Stewart and Austin Newstead goes from row number 7. Ruslan Mai and Orion Meta round out the 8 rows. Newstead, tough one in qualifying for him.
Yeah.
A big shame for him. He is currently 4th in the points right now in the championship, but that disaster, I think his exhaust came off, I think, at one point in qualifying, and unfortunately a technical flag came out for him, and that saw him not qualify too well. Which
no lap completed.
No, exactly. So he'll have to fight his way through the field over the course of today. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Drivers finishing their out lap, now on to their formation lap. Moments away for this one. Like we're saying, Ferguson currently leads now the intermediate classification points, 50 to his name after that win he's just had. Be curious to see who joins him. Remember, it's House, Milan Baku, Williams, Newstead, Kobe and Ferguson, who were the top runners in that championship. We saw a lot of those drivers out in that first group. But like we say, we do have Newstead in this one. He's going to be one to really keep an eye on in this field, making their way through nicely. Temperature into those tyres, but Guillaume, this is going to be an exciting one, I think, for them. We saw the dramatic start earlier on for the first group. Hopefully we don't see a repeat of that one, but it does showcase the technical aspects of this circuit, especially when they exit in towards turn number 4. That's where it all really starts to close in on them. There, a brief view of Martin Bean, race director this weekend, keeping a close eye on the proceedings. But yeah, looking forward to this one, Guillaume.
Yeah, definitely. So the minis always provide, always deliver in terms of tension, battles, but not the easiest off track to get the formation of the grid done, as you mentioned, because it's very twisty. You know, there's turn number 12, they're coming down to now. Then there's the right, there's the left, then there's 2 other small kick to get yourself aligned. Will this be good first time around?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. No, it's not. They're going around again. False starts. And I was seeing a tactic being deployed there. You see a driver who holds it back, and then they can get on the power really early. And so when they get alongside, they're hoping that the kart is alongside as they get to the line. But it is a cheeky tactic, that one. It doesn't always work out, though, because then the rest of the drivers behind don't realise, and then you've bolted, you've left half your group behind you in that line, and then, yes, it all kind of doesn't fall into play. I am seeing some slight spots of rain there.
Don't mention it. Don't mention it. It's going to jinx the whole thing for the drivers.
Well, yeah, they were racing from post 11.
Yeah, I'm agreed with that. I'm agreed with that. It's racing very early on in that one, very soon on the power. Remember, the acceleration line is the yellow line, which is some 200 meters away from where they started accelerating. So, yeah, they were on the power quite early on in that one. This one, they should still be slow. They are now accelerating here. They've already bolted. They're not even in the tram lines yet. But are we going to go racing? Yes, we are. And it's a good start for the front row. It's a good start, though, for the inside line once again. Brageot not able to get the power down. In fact, he's dropped to around 4th place. He is on the outside line going through turn number 2, and that's not worked out for him at all. It has worked out for the inside line, though. Hibbert, Di Pietrantonio, and Charles Ural looking very, very confident in towards turn number 4. This is where it all went wrong in the first race. This time around, all clean and dry down the inside. That's an Eichmann's kart. Is that Jake Kostecki, who's had a brilliant start to his race and is up there into 2nd place?
Yeah, it might be actually, or is it?
No, I think it might be Miko Schuber's actually in the MDC. Very similar liveries that they've got out there, but I think it's the MDC that's on it. Yeah, there's the Eichmann's kart. So yes, it's not Jake Kostecki. It's still a good start for him, but yeah, no, it's Miko Schuber's who finds himself there in 2nd, 3rd place. So that's a very good start for him still, with a good place gained there. Over the start-finish line they go. It is a good getaway for Mason Hibbert, but he's on his own right now as down the inside, Denver Boss trying to go for the move there on the XL Motorsport machine, but he's gone wide on the exit and he's just lost out on 2 places.
Yeah, there's some trouble going to hear from the race director.
Much better, but they are racing now.
Yeah.
Again, understandable. They were accelerating very early, but they were still line astern. They were side by side, so it was a good one to send them. They were just a bit quick, but very good getaway still nonetheless. But eyes on this one. Charles Ural has closed in to Mason Hibbert. The gap is 0.2 of a second. Fight for the lead is on. Or is it? Because, of course, now that there's 2 of them, they could potentially work together now and break away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, remains to be seen. And you can see the gesture. Ural is saying to Ibert, just keep on going. I'm not going to attack you just yet. That might be a little bit playing the fool here and trying to disguise his intention. Let's see if Ural feels like going on the inside of the leader. Not quite just yet. He might want to try that in the later stages of that race. But as long as those 2 can keep on battling and letting the others make the show, because at the moment, well, there's a little bit of fire in the house for Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio, who has the pressure of Kim Manier, Austin Newsted, Colby Pattison, and the rest of the pack just behind him. As Mathis Brachot, you can see him following from P3. A little bit on his own for the moment, the Spirit Racing driver. He is missing 0.8 of a second from the top 2, and he has a 1.4 second advantage on Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio. We thought for a second that Pietrantonio, currently in P4, was going to be able to take the lead on that opening lap. He just came very close from Ibert into that turn number 4 to get it done, but dropped places afterwards. And talking about recovery and pace, Austin Newsted, as you mentioned, 10 places gained up to P4. So the pace is definitely there for a driver who couldn't actually demonstrate it into qualifying.
Here we go. This is going to be a change for the lead. Charles Ural down the inside. The first move for the race lead. And now Ibbert's going to have to think what he wants to do here. Is he going to stick behind, push away, or is he going to instantly fight back? The answer at this moment, he's going to stick behind. He's not going to push too hard. Brachot continues to set the fastest lap of the race. The driver there in 3rd will have a chance to close in now on these 2. This isn't a real full slipstream circuit that can get a good tow down the start-finish straight. Of course, out at the exit of turn number 12, they have 13 and 14 that they go through, but it's a flat-out 13 and 14, which means they've got a 270-metre straight, effectively, to get a slipstream, to get a tow, and they could break away, but Brachot is really utilising the 2nd sector, the 3rd sector, the tight and twisty zone, and he's closed that gap now to 0.6 of a second. If anything, he might now just have that toe down the start-finish straight.
Yeah, let's see if that's going to happen into turn number 1, but Ibert might be the first one to go for a move. Decides against it just for now. We get into lap number 5, and those 3 pretty much glued together by the look of it into turn number 2. 0.4 of a second for Mathis Brachot to try to climb, but is very much on the rear bumper on of Ibert in 2nd place. Looking over the shoulder, the Fusion driver knows that Brachot is very much on him, and he's going to try everything that he has. Well, in the meantime, well, Austin Newsted once again. And there's a change for the move. A change for the lead with a nice move from Ibert on Charles Ural. Ural is going to have to close that door because Mathis Brachot is very much on him this time around. And try to do the same. Always easier said than done into the last sector. We've seen that with Dan Halleman in the previous race in the double right-hander of 10 and 11. And a little bit of a push coming to the turn number 12 down to the pit lane N3. Pressure is on. Watch out which one of those three will switch positions. Look similar over the shoulder with the leader closing that door. Won't have much time left as running inside. A better momentum on the exit for Mathis Brajot, who get the done deal on the next turn up into P2.
Yeah, that's nicely done there. Just managed to squeeze his nose down the inside there, splits the two apart. Hibbert, though, still not away from danger here as Newstead now sets the fastest lap of the race. He is the driver right behind this trio. Time is running out, though. We are lap 6 of 7. Last lap board will be out this time to the drivers. We saw how close it was earlier on. We are going to probably see another close fight at the end of this one. Let's see who bolts first, though, as Hibbert holds on to the lead going in towards that final sector. Will he hold the lead at the end of the straight? That is the question. You can see that Charles Ural has broken away now. He's trying to get a slipstream here. He's trying to get the toe. He's trying to get the momentum on it. Hibbert goes defensive. Charles Ural on the outside. Keep an eye on Newstead. He's right there now. It's 4 cars, 3 wide going in towards turn number 2. And it is still Hibbert who holds on to the lead, but now Newstead is there and he's already taken 1 place away. Through goes Newstead. Brajot down to 4th. He's going to get past Charles Ural now as well. Here comes Newstead into 2nd place. He has got 1 more spot to get. He will go from the back of the grid to the race lead here if he can get this last overtake done on his teammate. But Hibbert will defend this one, I'm sure, to the very end. Newstead needs to be careful where he positions the car in this final stage.
The last few corners of that last lap. Where can Austin Newstead make the move into that last sector all the way down to turn number 12? Maybe that could be one. Are we going to go for the photo finish? Looking over the shoulder. Let's not take each other out. That's the golden rule of motorsport between teammates.
Here we
We're
go.
going to have a 4x4 pretty much for the finish onto the line with Brajot as well as Ural. Still something to say in this race, but on the line, on the checkered flag, Hibbert wins it. Austin Newstead just behind for 600 of a second. Ural and Brajot 3rd and 4th. Another great finish in the mini class. The class keeps on providing. Mariembourg keeps on delivering in great opportunities for overtaking the maneuvers. But this time around, Hibbert, he felt certainly the cold pressure on his shoulders of Newstead coming really right at him. But what a recovery from Austin Newstead. 12 places recovered up to P2nd. If it wasn't for that bad qualifying, that technical problem with the exhaust, he would certainly be up there once again, not having to really eat into his tires to get himself within that top 3 positions. But certainly an impressive pace. Austin Newstead very much on the charge to play at the front.
Yep, biggest mover in that race. A 12th place gain to finish in P2. Superb drive from the young Briton. And that is their racing done until a little bit later on for their 2nd round of qualifying heats. There's your full results. Hibbert from Newstead, Charles Ural from Brajot, Patterson from Di Pietro Antonio, Boss from Kim, Didali and Chavez, who rounds out the top 10. Andy Stewart from Johnson Stewart, Orion Meta from Aurelio Longatano, Jake Kostecki and Roslyn Mai, who round out the top drivers in that race. 16 all started, all finished, and now Mason Hibbert joins Daniel Ferguson as the intermediate classification points leaders, both 50 points to their name. Solid driving then for the minis. Let's see how that race all transpired. The start was a bit shaky, but they got it going. Very high speed in towards turn 1 at the start of that race. They were on the power very, very early, but we were away and racing. And it was a really strong start there for the field, mainly for Mason Hibbert, managing to hold off a big charge from the rest of the field. There was Miko Chavez as well. Really good opening lap there. Later would just drop down to P10, but still a very strong start for the young driver from Spain.
And then a moment, Charles Ural making his move on Mason Hibbert for the lead on lap number 3. The battle would take another turn. First of all, with Hibbert diving through the inside of Charles Ural once again, then Mathis Brajot would join the party. That would make it a 3-driver battle. Brajot first, picking up 2nd place from Charles Ural, trying to chase Mason Hibbert. But all this battling all side by side would allow Austin Newstad to join them as well for the last 2 laps and get a word into that battle for the lead and the win potentially. And then on to the final lap, that last few corners, the fantastic final few corners and for the finish pretty much between those two. We're at the advantage of Mason Hayward and Austin Newstad just behind. But look at that, at the checkered flag, the look over the shoulder just to make sure to secure that win on the very edge for Mason Hayward from Austin Newstad and Charles Ural down in P3.
Yeah, love it when we see a photo finish like that. But we're going to take a short break. Do not go anywhere. Plenty of racing is still yet to come up. We've still got the seniors. They'll be coming out next after the lunch break. Back with the juniors, back with the minis. That'll be for their second and penultimate round of qualifying heats. They'll have their third heats right at the end of the day. And then, of course, we end the day with those seniors. But in around about 50 or so minutes, we'll be back. That'll be the race start time. We'll be back a little bit before that, possibly in around 50 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. We'll be back with the broadcast. So, basically, don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few. From myself, Anthony Jordan and Guillaume Alvarez, we'll see you after that lunch break.